Trustees meeting. It's so nice to see you on this beautiful, beautiful day. And lot to celebrate here at the college, a lot of good things happening, and we're going to get our meeting started off in the right way by asking you all to please stand. And Trustee Mr. Johnston has agreed to give us the prayer.
Let's bow our heads. Our dear Heavenly Father, we give thanks for this day, the day that you've allowed us to participate in college affairs. We ask for your guidance, not only for the board here, but for the administration, faculty, staff, because we need your guidance. This is a very important institution to all of us, and we want to do our level best. So we ask for your guidance. We also ask for your special blessing on the Japanese people that have been devastated in this terrible event going on, these atomic reactors. We pray that you'll help the technicians to get it under control. This is something that we have never experienced, I don't think, in basically this industrial lifetime of ours. But be with those people, heal them, give them guidance, and we ask now that you will give us the guidance we need this morning. We ask these things now in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Johnston, for that very thoughtful prayer, and all accounts there. There's the suffering and the pain and the anguish in Japan with the family members being killed is just devastating. It's just devastating, and I'm sure everyone here has that in their thoughts and prayers. And it's good to see the actual reaction of the world to come and help the Japanese people and help make them through this crisis. We have a occasion today of some retirements, Dr. Law, and would you please
Yes.
honor these good folks?
If you would join me, sir. The very first is Mary Hoover. Mary and friends. Well, here they come. They're all over here. You stand here and let us look at them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
They're still coming. Hold on. Well, wonderful. Mary Hoover, known as the Crab Lady to her many friends and colleagues, began her career as an executive staff assistant at the district office of St. Petersburg College, formerly St. Petersburg Junior College, in 1998. And whereas Mary would go on to accept a grants accountant position in business services in 2000 and become a trusted and valuable part of business services, and whereas Mary's quick wit and willingness to assist her colleagues was evident in her daily routine, and whereas Mary was a good steward of the college, tenacious in her duties to look after restricted funds, and whereas Mary is known for two things: her extensive crab collection, which adorns her office walls, shelves, and desks, and her love of dogs. In her collection draws to mind a familiar story of a friend or colleague who gave her each new member. A placard reading, "The crab is in," is one of the stars of her collection. Her miniature pinscher Angus is her constant and faithful companion. Mary also has been a loving faculty to Apollo, Killian, Saradi, and Kruger. Whereas Mary has a warm and generous spirit, colleagues who have worked with her over the years have developed a great affinity for her. We wish her happiness in her retirement as she relocates to Virginia to spend time with her beloved granddaughter and family. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions of Mary Hoover and extend to her our best wishes in her new adventures ahead. Adopted and approved by the Board of Trustees this 15th day of March, 2011. Hear, hear. Okay, hold on, we're going to do this, and we're going to get a wonderful picture. Congratulations. Thanks.
I have to tell you, this is the only retirement resolution that's ever had restricted funds in its content.
I'm just speechless. The time has gone so fast, and you're going to make me cry. Everybody is just so wonderful, and I'm going to miss everybody, but I know I'll be back down here, but I know I'm going on to a new adventure, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks so much.
Wow.
And now we're going to recognize Devon Gibb. Suzanne Cronauer.
Can't retire. We still need you.
Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Uh-huh. I know some of these friends, so good, okay, and you're well served.
I've got friends in my
Yeah. Suzanne Cronauer, known as Sue to her many friends and colleagues, began her career as a clerical assistant in cooperative education, experiential learning at the St. Petersburg campus of St. Petersburg College, formerly St. Petersburg Junior College, in 1985. And whereas Sue became a staff assistant in the provost office on the St. Petersburg 1987, working for Dr. Jerry Odom, and then for Dr. Charlie Roberts, and was a member of the Quality Circle. And whereas Sue transferred in 1997 to the curriculum office at the district office in Pinellas Park, and whereas Sue has provided 25 years of dedicated professional service to the college, and whereas Sue used her organization and planning skills, exceptional research ability, and creative talent to provide invaluable service to the curriculum office, and whereas Sue has given time and support to the American Lung Association, and whereas Sue has a soft spot in her heart for homeless animals, adopted 2 feral kittens from the former DO at Pinellas Park, socialized them and gave them a warm and loving home and named them Spit and Hiss, and whereas Sue has a warm and generous spirit, we wish her happiness in her retirement as she spends time with her family and loved ones. Now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate standing contributions of Suzanne Cronauer and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead. Said resolution adopted and approved by the Board of Trustees this 15th day of March, 2011. Hear, hear. You met a lot of people. Step over here.
And I love them all. Well, I know what y'all think I'm going to say, and I'm going to say it. It's so good to be old. You you get to retire, do anything you want. I am going to miss the people. I love my job, and I've loved all my jobs here at the college, but I'm not going to miss working.
Shirley Bell. Now it's starting to get personal, okay? Shirley Bell began her career as an administrative clerk, too, in the Equal Access, Equal Opportunity Office at St. Petersburg College, formerly St. Petersburg Junior College, in 1976. And Shirley has provided 35 years of outstanding service at the district office, the Tarpon Springs campus, the Epicenter services as a placement and follow-up assistant, and a follow-up and report specialist. And whereas Shirley has demonstrated extensive knowledge and experience in the areas of survey research, design, and administration, which were instrumental in developing a multiple method, multiple points of contact follow-up survey model that was awarded a finalist in the Florida Association of Community Colleges 2009. And whereas Shirley, in addition to her numerous contributions to the college, has set an example as a lifelong learner, receiving her Associate in Science and Business degree and Associate in Arts degree from St. Pete Junior College in 1984, and continuing her education today in the College of Education. And whereas Shirley has a kind and friendly heart and is always willing to help her fellow employees, we wish her the best in her retirement as she travels, spends time with family, and remains active in her church. Now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions of Shirley Bell and extend to her our best wishes for retirement and enjoyment throughout the years ahead. Hear, hear. Okay. Now you have to do that. There you go. Great.
I want to say to each and every one of you, the St. Pete family, I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again, maybe as an instructor. One will never know. God bless each and every one of you.
Wow, I think the college is losing tremendous talent here and a tremendous amount of years of service. Is there a motion to accept the retirement resolutions made by Mr. Johnston?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gibbons. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We wish you well. We have a very special introduction of a new employee, and I know Trustee Johnston actually helped in this process. So, Dr. Law?
If you would, and Mr. Chairman, I have a second recognition announcement to add. We were all, of course, set back a great deal with Paul Hanna's untimely death late last summer. The first challenge for us was to find a person who could pick up the wonderful legacy and forward motion, momentum that Paul and the team had put together there. It was important to me that we take time and do a national search, not just find the closest candidates, but to go through a legitimate process that helped us identify the match between the wonderful talent available and the needs of the college. We did that with great help. The committee that did the screening included faculty, which we're deeply appreciative for that. Mr. Johnson representing the board. We had work by the foundation board itself, and through a very, I think, exhaustive process, we came up with, I think, the ideal candidate. Couldn't be happier. We have appointed Mrs. Frances New as our Vice President for Institutional Advancement and the Executive Director of the Foundation. Frances, as I said in my announcement, is the perfect marriage of what we were looking for. Frances has extensive experience in our area. She was associated with, among other things, Ruth Eckerd Hall and the Pinellas Education Foundation. She has a local Rolodex that we should appraise and let her gift to the foundation. It is quite good, but her career took her to a national level where she worked with JA, Junior Achievement Worldwide. The interaction of JA at the highest levels of donation in the corporate structure in America is something that caught my eye in Frances' background. She was savvy enough to list some very high-level people on her references, so I had a chance to interact and call people at the highest levels of business, foundation, and donations. Her references all came back with very strong reports of her ability to both organize and develop, to raise funds, and of course a personal affability that we treasure. So Frances has started to work yesterday, and I said the best sign is she's back this morning. So we expect this will be a long and beneficial career. Ladies and gentlemen, Frances New. we thank everybody for their participation. I have to...
Dr.
Yes.
Gall, Mr. Johnston, did you have anything to add there, being part of the committee?
Well, my only comments were that if Dr. Law didn't hire her, he was in serious trouble with the trustees. I don't think that comment got back to him directly. We discussed that a little bit, but we kept, as we were going through, we would take a break between interviews, and we kept judging the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. And the fourth one, I had to go out and take a telephone call, and I came back, and I asked Al May, who was our chairman, who's on the foundation board, and I said, "What happened?" And he said, "Well, it was unanimous."
Well, that's good. I welcome you here and thank Mr. Johnson for his role in helping make this happen, and certainly Dr. Law for your leadership. But it is a big responsibility, and we're looking forward to big things. The expectations are high, and our college, with our history of lots of friends, but giving to junior college has, we're breaking through that barrier and now giving to a four-year institution, which has a little bit different meaning to it in the philanthropy world. And we're just very excited about you coming here. From what Mr. Johnston and Dr. Law have said, you're the perfect fit for our college, and we look forward as a board to working with you because I know you're going to rely on some connections that we have. Doesn't sound like anywhere near your Rolodex, but we'll work our best to work with you and support you in your efforts, and use us as best we can be used to help in those efforts.
Mr. Chairman, I really have two. One's a short announcement. Janice, would you take just a second, though? We have some very good news from the foundation. Janice, of course, did spectacular duty in the interim here and has been wonderful. I don't know where we would have been without her leadership in that, but why don't you share our most recent news, if you would, Janice?
Thank you, President Law. My great privilege to have been able to step in for a while, and but my greatest privilege is welcoming you.
No one's happier.
She says that about all the new people, Francis.
It feels so good. I believe you all have done absolutely the right thing, and there's so much. It's so easy to talk about the college and to receive those gifts, Francis. They come in because people want to support St. Petersburg College. I was privileged that the last gift that came before I'm leaving now was one. It's a client of Dick's. He's the O'Hearn family. John O'Hearn, who was CFO at St. Petersburg Times for a very long time. His wife was ill for about 10 years, passed away in 2009. She had Alzheimer's. But she came back to college after their kids were through school, and John promised her she would get to do that. She came to St. Petersburg College and is one of our graduates. She was chairman of the foundation board when I was on the board of trustees, I remember, and we worked together. And we live in the same part of town, down in Lakewood and South St. Pete. And it was a privilege to work with John, and he presented a check through me to the whole college the other day for $100,000.
Wow.
And yes. And this is, of course, in great honor and memory of his wife, Sue. And that's how it just happened so beautifully. He said, I personally have for $100,000.
Wow.
And I said, no, neither have I, but we can certainly take this check. And it will help so many people for so long. This is an endowed fund, and so the earnings thereof will be used in perpetuity. And we recognize John and his family, and 2 children also. A beautiful thing about John, he was there with Sue every day at Suncoast Manor throughout this period. John continues today, even though Sue is gone. He continues going over there every day and working with other patients.
That's nice.
So if you have a chance to drop John a note or to give him a call or to write to him, that would be wonderful. And we are so thrilled with this great gift. Dick, thanks for your help as well. Thank you for letting me make this announcement.
Thanks, Janet. Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
Mrs.
Just want to thank Janet for all the work you've done for our college. I don't think people know everything you've done. She helped start the Lipa Ratner Museum. That was one of her big accomplishments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Mr. Chairman, I may need some help. Kathleen, are you handling the student recognition? Yes. Please come forward.
Good morning, President Law, Board of Trustees, members. I am extremely honored today to introduce to you one of our superstars. Several months ago, the college nominated 7 of our superstars for the Twin All-USA Community College academic team. And we recently found out that Spencer Reed received 2 very prestigious awards. Out of 1,600 of the superstars throughout the United States, Spencer was selected to the All-USA academic team, which makes up 20 members. And his name will be announced at the AACC convention in New Orleans at the Phi Theta Kappa Presidential Breakfast as one of the top 20 in the United States.
Wow.
I'm not through. He was also selected 108 of the superstars in the state of Florida as the New Century Scholar, which is the #1 scholar in the state of Florida.
Wow.
And he will be recognized at a banquet on April 7th in Tallahassee. And we are so proud of Spencer. And Dr. Vitito gave me the opportunity to share a little bit about the essence of Spencer. And it has to be short, so I'm going to speak very quickly because there's so much to say about Spencer. The All-USA academic team honors students who have academic achievement, strong leadership, and community involvement. That's our Spencer. Spencer has maintained a 3.9 GPA in a very rigorous pre-medical program. And some of his accomplishments are that he co-founded the undergraduate research team, which is a student organization that does research, biomedical research with the Veterans Administration Hospital. He was also summoned to a very competitive internship at USF, and because of his involvement, he is published in the Journal of Molecular Neuro, I have to look and see what it is. Neurodegeneration, and the article is about HIV-associated dementia, and I'm going to leave a copy here for you to read. Wow. I frankly couldn't get through it. It's quite impressive. And our Spencer is only a sophomore. Now, I would like to share that Spencer is no stranger to medical adversity. He is a type 1 juvenile diabetic, insulin dependent, and during high school he was part of the hospital homebound program. And what Spencer's goals are to become an endocrinologist and come up with more therapeutic treatment for juvenile diabetes, and I think he's actually going to come up with a cure. He has been our Honors College, president of the Honors College Consortium for the last 2 years, member of SGA, which demonstrates his leadership, Phi Theta Kappa. He's the garden coordinator of the Ecology Club. Every time Stan Vitito and Nadia and I need help, we always call in Spencer, and he's always there, whether he's helping with the Zalupski Hispanic Academic Awards, ringing the bell for the Salvation Army, working with SPIFs, ecological cleanup. I could go on and on and on, and I've been told very quickly. But more importantly, this young man, if I had to have 3 adjectives to describe our Spencer, it would be brilliant, compassionate, and humble. He is the least person I know to grandstand. But this is the reason why we're here. and I expect great things from this wonderful, wonderful young man. He will graduate in May with his AA degree. He's been accepted to the University of Miami in the biochemistry and molecular biology. But he also has applications into Cornell, Columbia, Johns Hopkins, and many more.
Wow.
This young man is just a sophomore, but he has accomplished such wonderful, wonderful things. We love him. I feel honored to have worked with him, and he is only the 4th student in the history of the all-academic team who has made the final 20. We had one 5 years ago, and also from Clearwater, if I may brag. But this is all about Spencer. And I wanted to give him a moment to share, and then if you would like to ask him questions. But this is why we're here. This is why I'm here. We love you, Spencer, and thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Dr. Griffin and, of course, you all for listening to that. I mean, as wonderful as that is, but I just wanted to thank my faculty and Honors College, Dr. Yevstigneva, Dr. Griffin, Dr. Vidito, all the administration who has of me and my research, and really has catapulted my wantings and my journey in life to really distinct passions, and I'm very, very happy to have them on my side. So thank you.
Any questions?
Well, but Dr. Law, do we have any campuses that need a provost in waiting? I think this kid's a good candidate already.
No, but we have campuses with provosts with dementia, so we...
Glad you didn't mention associate provost, right?
They're beyond.
Spencer, I have a 19-year-old daughter I want to introduce you to. You're amazing. I mean, it's just, and Dr. Griffin, thank you for that introduction and for the opportunity to meet you. It's really a privilege for us to have this opportunity to share with you, and the honor that you've already given to our college by being in a publication of that nature. It is quite astounding. And thank you for choosing St. Petersburg College, and thank you for your activity here at the college of being a student leader. And we all here wish you just the best in your academic success and in life in general. We're very, very proud of you, and hope you're proud of your affiliation forever here at St. Petersburg College. Would anyone else care to say anything?
I can't believe everything that you've done, and I think he ought to be recognized nationally.
He is.
Oh, he already is. And are you going to be in research or practice medicine?
I'd like to do both. I have a big passion for research because of my own health issues, and I think that's what's led to that. But I'd like to do both one day, be in private practice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You certainly make us proud, because to have students like you makes us all feel like we're on the right track and we're doing something successfully. So we thank you for all your efforts and what you've done.
Thank you.
And I did want to say that this will be announced on April 11th at the AACC convention. So we can't have any media blitz until all the USA Today is going to have a picture of Spencer and the other 19 all-USA teams on the cover of USA Today on April 11th. And then we'll have a blue and white article following about our superstar. And we've known he's a superstar, and now the entire United States will know as well.
Congratulations and continued success.
Thank you.
Dr. Law, I want to thank you. We need to do more of this, having students attend our Board of Trustees meetings. We have so many accomplishments. I don't think anyone can match what we've just been introduced to with Spencer, but our students excel in a lot of different areas, whether it be on the field with our athletic teams or with extracurricular activities or in the performing arts that we have going on, and we went with the engineering students who came with the design was really memorable for us when they were integrated with the design Just as one board member, I really appreciate seeing students at our board meeting, and I hope we continue to do more of that. I think it reminds us of why we're here and keeps us on message.
Mr. Chair, you spoke about the sports team. I think our girls' team made the state tournament for the first time in how many years? A long time. Oh, a long time. So Mr. Brett and I had an opportunity to see them play, so.
I saw them play too.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, I entreat you guys to go out to more games. We all should do it, but they made the state tournament. They didn't do as well as we wanted them to do, but they made it this year, so.
Hey, the start. Okay. Board reports, I'm going to get started with, and actually, you'll be happy to know mine's brief today. I have these annual reports. I'm not sure if these got sent to each board member. These are the annual reports from the Florida Prepaid College Fund and from the foundation. I'm just going to pass them out, and y'all can, I'm going to leave them here at the college if anyone has any interest in seeing that. The only other item I have to report is, and Dick, you would appreciate this because of your long history of serving on this board and leadership from our college. We have one of the trustees from Broward Community College, Sean, contacted me and said we need to make our trustee group more effective. And he suggested that the trustees commission it's just not effective. And he thinks we need to have like a mirror of the Council of President with one trustee from each board meeting on a somewhat regular basis. Maybe it'd be 4 times a year. And have real meaningful meetings and really have encouraged all 28 to send a representative to the meeting. And especially because of this attack on the governance issue, potentially from the universities. This is trustees should be at the leadership of that issue, not the college presidents. It should be the trustees because it's our issue, whether authority is going to be taken away from us. And so that's a motivational reason for us and a solid reason for us to gather together. I'm having on the 31st with Rod, who's the incoming chair for the Trustees Commission, just to make sure, and with Sean's coming back up from Broward, just to come up with a strategy of how we're going to go about making this happen. So I just want to update y'all on that. I think it's very positive, and I think it's proactive in our usual role at St. Petersburg College of being involved with initiatives like this.
This takes me back. Joe, help me for a second. Phil Benjamin and I visited numerous colleges trying to get trustees involved, and a lot of them were more interested in the basketball game the night before than they were about community college representation. And out of that came the Community College Coordinating Council, which was made up of trustees, turned into the Community College Board, which Mr. Lang chaired for a number of years. And then the legislature abolished all that. But we got the Community College Coordinating Board, which was trustees, just for the purpose that you were talking about, Ken, to have the trustees speak as a voice, because the presidents can speak as a voice to legislators, but they're paid to do that. Trustees aren't, and we felt if we could put 200 voices in Tallahassee, we could get more attention and support the whole system. And it worked rather well until 5-6 years ago when the legislature just abolished all of that. It was Joe's fault, I guess. But I'd strongly encourage that, Mr. Chairman, if we can put trustees together again, they can speak with a voice.
And it's funny, Dick, what you said. I said, this group of us who are at the core of trying to put this together, we're going to have to go visit Board of Trustees meetings. I said the exact same thing. I said, we can't communicate through letters and through emails. We have to go visit at Board of Trustees meetings and get a commitment from each board at a public meeting to participate in this, to make this effective. And I think we will, so I'll report in the future on that. The other thing I want to, just the last item, is I'm so proud of Dr. Law with the regional conference. I just don't know if you realize just the, how significant that is. I mean, this is an event that's put on by the White House and put on by the Federal Department of Education, that I think we're the, and I may have my fact here wrong, but I am wrong on this. I think we're the only college who had 2 invitations to the regional summit. Dr. Law went to the one in Houston. I'm going to the one next week in Indianapolis. They are restricted just 150 people. But Dr. Law was honored to be, or it's an honor for us. It was Dr. Law was requested to be the closing speaker, which is never a good thing at the end of the day at the Houston Regional Summit. Although it was 15 minutes, but when you have the high-powered people who make up this agenda, it's pretty impressive, significant amount of time. So, Dr. Law, we're proud of you there, and if you wouldn't mind, would you mind giving that part of the report now?
Thank you very much. It's always nice to be asked, and I think it reflects the whole ethos of our institution. I think when we adopted the completion agenda early on, we caught people's attention and in behalf of the things that matter most across America. It was 150 kindred souls, people who are self-regarding institutions who care deeply about the success of their students, and the day was, as you would guess, very well organized. It's still flowing from the White House conference, and after the 4 regional sessions, there will be a webcast, an all-together webcast, and I forget the exact date, early June, I think, is what I have in my mind. But again, having a chance to interact with other presidents and other, in some cases, trustees, I think certainly is very refreshing to me. The good news is we're doing the things that I think matter the most, and I salute the board for the workshop that you invested in and the guidance that you're giving us. I think we are headed in exactly the right direction, and now we're down to the doing.
What was the essence of your remarks?
It was, I took the opportunity to try to be motivational, and that what we, in this day and age, really being sure that we're speaking for the people who can't otherwise be heard. Used some Martin Luther King Jr. quotes about we stand in the sunlight of opportunity, and making sure that we don't leave anybody behind. So it ended up being quite nice, and I was really proud of the work we did.
Thank you. And I asked Dr. Law if there happens to be if they videoed the day, if we could take that segment of his comments and distribute it to the board so we can view. So again, thank you for the recognition you've helped give our college, because that is quite significant, and it is appreciated. By the way, are you planning to attend the AACC conference?
Yes, I am. In fact, Spencer and I were just coordinating.
Okay.
Maybe we can get together while we're there. But
I'll
yes,
be there also,
okay,
so
great.
that'd be good. Mrs. Bilirakis, any board report from you?
No, I want to thank the staff for all the work that y'all do. You're hardly ever recognized, but I know y'all work hard and you do a lot of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bilirakis. Mr. Brett?
Just want to acknowledge the lengthy article that was in the Neighborhood Times of the St. Petersburg Times a couple weeks ago, focusing on the growth of downtown and midtown. I felt like it was overall a good article, good comments from our president and also Yvonne Ulmer. I'm sure most of you saw it, but it's always good to see good stuff about the challenges that we face and how you're attacking them. So I thought that was great.
Excellent, thank you. Kim, could you send that article to make sure the whole board gets it in the packet? It was not part of my Neighborhood Times. Mr. Johnston.
Well, you'll have to move. I would like to ask the board, based upon opportunities and what we're talking about, I'd like to see us take our midtown thoughts and put them on a fast track. I think there's a real need there, and I've learned something from Devon in his comments that it'll mean more to that neighborhood if
there's a permanent facility there than just a box that holds a few students. If there's a center there, it'll be utilized more, and I think right now, this youthful 16-year-old's picture in the paper, it hit me a little bit that somehow or other, we're a community-wide organization and probably that could do something that'd be meaningful to give encouragement and hope to an area that may or may not. And I'm speaking, I guess, and I know, just listening to Deborah, and he's taught me an awful lot that I didn't know about that area. And I think we should fast track. I'd like to see this board put a fast track on our purchase of the land and moving ahead as quickly as possible with that facility. I think there's such a strong need. And I think what I'm saying is, if we can build hope in people, maybe they won't be running around town with guns in their pockets. Because in the trip to Guatemala, we learned that the youth there don't really have, because they know by the time they're 20 or 21, they're going to be dead. So they become hoodlums and gangsters. And just maybe an institution like ours could provide hope in an area that I think needs it. We want to give people a future. If we give them a future and have them invest in it, and we can lead the way, because that's really our purpose. And like I said, I'd like to see the board, if they would, put this idea that we're talking about on a fast track.
You get no argument for me, Dave. Two quick things.
Excuse me, Mr. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, was that the only item you had to bring up, or did you have anything more?
No, I just,
Sorry.
but on my mind.
No, I just wanted to make sure. Go ahead.
I'd like to, number one, I went to the Mac J. Williams Awards for the St. Pete Gibbs campus in the downtown. I think they were all together, right? It was a very nice event. I think we had some 100 students or so. I couldn't stay the whole time, but it was a very nice event, very
That's
well
great
put
you went,
together.
though.
It was at the Palladium, our Palladium. It was and it was the opening night for our new gospel choir at the college, and they did a great job. It was a great event. They did a great job. Welcome, Francis New. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to working with you. Dr. Law and I have been working on a lot of things for the foundation. As you know, Gibbs Junior College has a rich history in this community, and we're looking to work together and try to mold the foundation and those things together. And Janice, thank you so much. You're always you're like a trooper. You just keep, you're like that Energizer bunny. You just keep coming back like every time. You just.
I'm leaving now.
We've heard that.
No, thank you for all you do. I really appreciate it. And just to piggyback on Dick's comments, I think he's exactly right. I have to really just work with the president on how fast we get this accomplished. But, in light of a lot of things in our communities, all over the city, I'd like this in the county. I think we're an organization that should be helping the county. And we have some of those same issues, some socioeconomic issues in Tarpon and other places, in Clearwater. And if we can be as I like what Dr. Law always says, when Dr. King says we're standing in the sunlight of opportunity, we really are as a college. We've always responded to the needs of the entire county, and we've done it better than anybody else. And if there's something that we can do and it's within our real of what we're supposed to be accomplishing here at the college, then I think we should do it. But in Midtown, I think people really are starting to catch hold that they can go to school. T. Laster has never been a great friend of mine. Mama T, Terry Brett knows her. I don't know if you know her, Dick. She's never been a great friend of mine, but, here's a lady who was a former addict who now has graduated with an AA. Doesn't matter whether I get along with her or not, whether we're good friends, but what matters is she had the opportunity to come back to school. And the one thing she told me that meant a lot to me was, she said she didn't want her grandkids to think she was a failure. I mean, and here's a lady who's been through so much. I think Tanja Williams got so tired of her at one point, we were all just all want to get her out of college. But she finished. She finished with all kind of learning disabilities, all kind of problems. And you know, at the end of the day, what are we supposed to be doing? We're supposed to be making this community better. The more educated people, the better our community is going to be. There'll be less crime. There'll be more home ownership. Now, we can't serve and do all the things. I could go on for days of what I think the cities and counties should be doing in our communities, but that's not what we're here to do. We're here to educate this community. And if there's a part or segment of our community that wants to be educated, then we should find a way to get there. I don't care if it's Clearwater, Tarpon, wherever. I'm not just speaking about Midtown. I'm saying all those areas, and I think we've done a good job of that. And I think he's no longer our new president. With Dr. Law, we're gonna. Yeah, because people keep saying he's your new president. I was glad you said that, Dr. White, because he's no longer the new president. I feel like this guy's been here 15 years because of all the stuff we've thrown on him. But with Dr. Law, I think we're going to move forward, and we're going to really start touching people we've never touched before. I think the focus is going to be on the student, and that's what's important. There could be 20 Spencers out there if we're in the right places. We don't know what we got out there. Is Dr. Joe Smiley here? Oh, I just called him out. Stand up, Dr. Smiley, please. I know you hate me doing this for you, but he has a program, Alpha Leadership. There's probably 10 more Spencers in that program because of the time that they take with those young people. And who knows what other programs are out there that we're just missing kids. And then we have this collegiate high school where we have all those young people that we need to be recruiting to stay here and get their bachelors and so many other things. But all I'm saying is, we have always responded, and Dick, I do agree with you, but we need to respond to the entire community because that crisis is not just happening in St. Pete, it's happening all over the country.
Well, the reason I focused on Midtown is because we've got plans, and I don't know where they are, but I would like to see us fast-track those because I think there's a need right there. I'm with you, Deborah, and there's nieces already on the plate. Yes, sir. Let's fast track it and work with the community, the city, the ministers in the area. I think we can put together something down there that we'll all feel good about at the end of the day.
I'm working on borrowed time, so yeah, let's get it done.
Next month.
Yes.
I think the message here in Dr. Law is that, obviously you hear the message, right. and we certainly as a board want to turn it over to you as our president to set the proper priorities and recommend to us what the priorities should be in the proper time frame. And so we want it done obviously in a thoughtful manner. And I think that's the essence of this conversation, but we do consider Midtown, and we just didn't start this board meeting a priority. And I think you've gotten that message. So we appreciate your thoughtful recommendation back to us. And obviously, maybe it's a great time for, philanthropic recognition to make this happen a lot sooner than later, because we know with the PICO funds and other funds are so restricted. But maybe people if we put the right message that Mr. Gibbons talked about, it could make a very attractive opportunity for someone to help make this happen who has the wherewithal to help us with this. So that's a challenge to you too. Doctor, did you have something more?
I forgot two quick things. One is I'm working with Dr. Williams. We're putting a committee together to deal with the blackmail issue, and I went to the conference in Tampa.
Oh, great.
And it was a very good conference. Our folks did very well. They presented on a myriad of things, but they did a great job, and I asked that Dr. Williams bring them to the meeting, or she do the presentation here so you can see what we're up against in terms of the blackmails. Number two is Dr. Law is going to be meeting with...
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we make that part of next board meeting? Okay, just so
Dr.
we
Law
don't forget.
is going to... Sure, no problem. Dr. Law is going to be meeting with ministers and then going out to various churches throughout the community to kind of introduce themselves to those churches. I think that's a great thing. He's offered to do that, and that's what we need to be doing. He's doing the right thing. So those are the last two things. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, that's great. Mr. President, your report?
I'm going to hold till the end where I have a number of items there
Very
that are
good.
more topical.
Okay, let's move into the business portion of our meeting. Any corrections or additions to the minutes as submitted?
Move approval.
Made by Mr. Brett, seconded by Mr. Johnston. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Lang, do you have any report for us?
Yes, a brief one. It's been a busy week, 10 days. We closed the transaction from the foundation to the college of the Ulmerton Road Vet Tech property last week. We have been urging the prompt closing of the JWB acquisition, and yesterday, late in the afternoon, I received the closing statement for that transaction. It's dated tomorrow.
Okay.
So hopefully, we'll have it closed certainly within this week, and we're looking forward to that.
Excellent.
And if you'll grant me one more moment to respond to my good friend Dick Johnson. Dick, I was chair of the state board the year before its demise, so while I have some mea culpas, I don't want to indulge in all of it. But I think it's important because you touched on something more important than just that, and that's that the state board brought the community college system as a whole from being, at times, an unwanted stepchild to being respected by the Florida legislature as being the most productive at the most economic level of any of the educational systems in the state of Florida. And it was recognized that way at the time that it was voted out of existence. It was voted out of existence because there were those who thought that a K through 20 system was better than having the three systems. I thought they were in error then. I think they're in error now to not have changed it. As you know, the Board of Regents litigated their re-existence. The State Board of Community Colleges did not have that kind of Bob Graham in the offing to take it along. But what disturbed me, and I've never talked about it anyplace else, and I probably should have come back and reported to this board about it even then, is to the best of my knowledge, when the demise of this was being discussed, nobody from the legislature, nobody from the governor's office ever spoke to the first member of the State Board of Community Colleges as to its function, as to what it had accomplished. It just was a purely political animal. And for that reason, I can't encourage you more to go out and do, as the chair and Dick and I think all of you felt inclined to do, resurrect a state governing system for trustees that can speak for the voice of all trustees. I can assure you that with my contacts through the years throughout the state of Florida, you have strong support from existing trustees and past trustees to reinstate that type of system. And finally, Janice, you came on the board with me in 1979. You served as my vice chair for at least 2 terms. I don't know anyone that has a heart more for St. Petersburg College than Janice Buchanan.
I agree.
She's like really leaving.
Thank you, as I'm inching closer to the door.
Yeah.
That's clear, I see that.
State board did a lot of good. It really did. I commend you and I support you as well in this effort to make sure there's a representation for the trustees. And our great friend Phil Benjamin led that. And it's such an honor that every matching gift given in the state of Florida, we hope that will come back, is named for Dr. Phil Benjamin.
Yep, amen.
Our name is used by all of the colleges through him. I love you all very well.
I have nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. And having passing the veterinary tech building on a regular basis, it's progressing along very nicely, Susan.
Yes, it's,
Looking good.
It will be completed on time. Actually, we're talking about the ribbon cutting ceremony now, so.
Good. Ms. Gardner?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a report this month.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the Provost report. Mr. Brock from the Allstate Center.
Good morning. I rushed out of the office this morning without a jacket and without my notes, so hopefully I will be able to see what's being projected. I want to highlight a program that we're embarking on that follows up to some of your comments this morning. We frequently hear how much we need to be doing and what we should be doing, but it's important to focus on some things that we're doing. In the last 6 months especially, we have been very aggressive in some of our reach out programs and partnerships. One of these came out of a meeting that we had with City Council. St. Pete City Council back in October. They met at our facilities when Dr. Law was just getting on the ground and wanted to pursue some opportunities of mutual collaboration. And they wanted to do something and not just to talk about doing something. Out of that, we're putting together for this summer called the Parks and Public Safety Summer Program, where we will be bringing 60 to 70 youths from the Campbell Park, Jordan Park area in concert with the St. Pete Recreation Department, the Juvenile Welfare Board, the Pinellas County School System, to put together a public safety camp. We realize the literature is clear that we need to reach these children at a much earlier age in high school, maybe even earlier than middle school. The target group here is those middle-aged school children, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that historically have been in summer programs, recreation programs, of fun and games that have been sponsored by the JWB. They want something of more substance. We have been wanting to do something to plant the seed to especially our minority communities of the need for representation in our public safety professions and do it at a very early age, and we thought this was a golden opportunity. We're going to bring these children over for half a day with camp counselors. We have hired a group of adjuncts who are professionals at the Criminal Justice Magnet School. Not only are they law enforcement, emergency management, and fire professionals, but they're academicians. They understand these middle-aged school children. They understand what it takes to communicate with them. We're going to put them through a very aggressive 8-week program where it will be a hands-on, very interactive exposure to every aspect of the public safety system, including the fire community, emergency management, all of this being done in support, with support of the Recreation Department, City of St. Pete, and the Pinellas County School Board. You can see a summary there of what we're going to be doing. We will have a component of college preparedness and life skills that we're working with a group of the college experts on to integrate in that. But we want this to be a program that the following summers the students will compete to enroll in it and be a part of it, to be that interesting dynamic. Our plan is to follow up over the next year and identify those children who may have an interest. We know all 60 or 70 will not. Hopefully there'll be a handful that really has an interest in this area, and we will do new follow-up programs. Maybe meet with them monthly, expose them to the different agencies, the Explorer programs within the agencies, and track and guide them hopefully towards a career or profession in the public safety fields. That's what we're going to do for the summer. Any
Questions for Mr. Brock?
I have a question, JC. Do you have anything you can update us on as far as the meeting that with Harry Glenn and Bill Young's office as far as the grants go and how this funding is going to be built into the federal budget?
On the Department of Defense funding, we are working with the Congressman's office to seek a single line item for federal funding that would remove us from having to compete for federal earmarks. When we visited a couple weeks ago, the indication was that they were going to seek this in support with the political leadership. There are 5 schools, Iowa, Pennsylvania, California, Mississippi, and all of them had come together in support of this, both on the Republican side and the Democratic side. They asked that we keep hands off, let the system process for a while, and that the gentleman, Kent Clark, came to visit us the following Monday after our trip, spent a half day with us at Allstate, seeing our programs, and went back very enthusiastically. He is the one that is guiding the process on behalf of Congressman Young. So we've just been hands off. I don't have any update other than his visit and the positive response he gave us.
Thank you.
JC,
Sir.
does the Juvenile Welfare Board have any way of tracking afterwards, this program, if it's successful? or
We're going to
not?
track it.
We're gonna
That's
track
going to be
it.
a component that we're going to track these students
Can you
throughout.
can you talk about that?
It's in development.
Okay.
We just met last Friday with the leadership team from the CBB, ourselves, and the school board, and our hopes is to maybe follow-up meetings with them, maybe even monthly. We have a group that meets every other week on Saturday mornings of about 50 youths of a mentorship program, maybe integrate them into that group. The process has not been precisely determined yet, quite honestly.
I think in accountability in government just is so strong now. So I mean, I think there's motivation to fund programs that work, but they want to make sure things work. So I think we should apply those same principles to anything we're looking at in these areas.
This is not a grant-funded initiative.
I know, this is our own
This
thing.
is our initiative in partnership with JWB.
But if we want to expand
Yes,
it,
yes.
that would be, we need that accountability component. Any other questions for Mr. Brock? Thanks for your presentation, well done. Dr. Carney from the Tarpon campus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Mr. President, members of the board. I'm excited this morning to share with you initiative at the Tarpon Springs campus to add 2 new Greek study programs, not program, but classes at our campus. Now, normally, we offer hundreds of courses per semester at our campus, and I wouldn't come to you with 2, but these 2 are significant because it's a 2-year collaboration that we've been working with the American Foundation for Greek Language and Culture, been working with the Center for Greek Studies at the University of South Florida in Tampa. We've been working with the citizens and the civic leaders of Tarpon Springs. And of course, we've been working with faculty and staff on our campus as well as other campuses. The graphic you see on the left-hand side there is the cover page of the 16th annual conference of the American Foundation for Greek Language and Culture. We also call it the AFGOC. The AFGOC is a nonprofit public educational institution with headquarters in Tampa, Florida. Among its distinguished guests are Mike Bilirakis, as well as Mr. Gus Stavros is on the honorary board of the AFGOC. Its mission is the preservation, the spreading of the Greek culture and language and values by funding courses, by funding conferences, by funding centers of Hellenic study, Greek studies at institutions of higher learning throughout the United States. For the first 14 years, this annual conference was held on the campus of USF, both days, Friday and Saturday. And at the 2009 conference, the Executive Vice President, Dr. Ralph Wilcock, shared with us his indelible observations about the conference attendance. And he challenged the leadership of the AFGOC to involve more youth, more students, and more citizens into the conference attendance. And as a result, the leadership of the AFGOC moved one day of the conference to the Tarpon Springs campus in Tarpon Springs. So for the first time ever, at the 15th annual conference in 2010, we held a conference at the Tarpon Springs campus on Saturday, February the 20th, 2010. It was a huge success in terms of attendance. We had over 160 attendants at our conference on that Saturday in 2010, including 86 St. Pete College students. That compared to a total of 60 at the previous day at USF, including about 5 students, of which 2 of those students were our students from St. Pete College. Also at the 2010 conference, the city commissioners of Tarpon Springs, through a city proclamation read at the conference by then Mayor Beverly Bolaris, proclaimed Tarpon Springs as AFGOC Day at that time. In addition, there was a video from the then governor welcoming the conference and sharing about his Greek heritage and promoting the mission of the AFGOC as well as the conference itself. There was more vision with regards to bringing the conference to Tarpon Springs. The AFGOC also envisioned adding courses at the Tarpon Springs campus. And so at the 2011 annual conference that just occurred a few Saturdays ago, we announced that we will be piloting 2 new Greek courses, as you see there in the lower left-hand side of the chart, and that these courses will be offered beginning the fall of 2011, and the other one not later than the fall of 2012. We've already included those into our schedules. There will be credit courses and offered as electives to our students, just as the ancient Greek mythology course is offered today. Also at the annual conference in 2011, a Tarpon Springs citizen, Mrs. Alexandra Lazides, who you see there on the right-hand side, the lady with the bouquet there, $1,000 to the AFGOC to help fund the development and delivery of these two courses on our campus. So we're very proud of that. Not quite as big as the $100,000 that Janice talked about, but we're very pleased with the $10,000 that we received a few Saturdays ago. In closing, let me share with you some of the success of the 2011 conference at the Tarpon Springs campus in terms of attendance. USF the previous day had total attendance of 101 at their part of the conference, including 26 students. We had about 217 total attendance at our conference, including over 118 students from throughout St. Pete College. Some of the comments from our attendees. This is a dream come true, said Commissioner Christos Alahoussos. He's the commissioner at the Tarpon Springs. That was in reference to adding these two courses and in reference to the $10,000 donation that we got. Another comment. When I saw the lineup of speakers and topics, I knew I had to attend, and I wish I invited all of my friends. Campos, he's a citizen in the Tarpon Springs area. One last comment. The conference today is much better than yesterday at USF. This is from Dr. Santo Nicosia. Dr. Santo Nicosia is a medical doctor and distinguished university professor and chairman of the Department of Pathology and Cell Biology at the University of South Florida College of Medicine. So in closing, there is a phrase in our mission statement that reads, retaining leadership as a comprehensive, sustainable, multi-campus, post-secondary institution, and created partnerships with students, communities, and other educational institutions to provide rich learning experiences. And I think this conference and the work we've done with the University of South Florida and the AFGOC is a great example of that part of our mission statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent report. Questions?
Well, Dr. You did a warning yet. I attended the whole thing. It was very interesting and knowledgeable, and the attendance was great. So thank you very much for putting it all together.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bilirakis, for attending. That's great.
Conferleet, I think it's a very good situation. What you've done is taken a heritage of a community and build on it. I think it's great recognition for the college, and I applaud you for doing it.
Thank you very much. It was a team effort. As I mentioned before, the AFGOC has been very outreaching to us. University of South Florida has also. So a lot of people worked for this, including Dr. Martha Campbell's here today. She's working with us on the courses. Dr. Jonathan Steele has worked with us on it, as well as Mr. Mark Lulick, who's academic chair at our college. He's a big part of all this work that we've talked about this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your report. Oliver from the Seminole campus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. President. SPC has had a long tradition of acting as an entrepreneurial institution, but until recently, we weren't doing very much educationally, specifically in the workforce area, to offer practical and focused curriculum for stage one entrepreneurs, those folks who have a great idea and the passion and energy to make it happen, but no notion of what it will take to get there. But as you'll see, we've made up for lost time. After a year of examining model programs, writing curriculum and gaining approvals at the institution, we launched our certificate program just this past fall with 4 courses: the Intro to Entrepreneurship, Entrepreneurial Management, Entrepreneurial Marketing and Sales, and Planning the Entrepreneurial Venture. For a new program, we've done very well, with 197 enrollments in the fall and spring terms for a brand new program. Recall that even before the program was launched, we re-entered into a career and entrepreneurship center and began building a reservoir of online and print materials, offering special programs like the National Extreme Entrepreneurship Tour, which came to campus last fall, and created a unique and powerful website as a central focus for our resources. The board's been briefed on those 2 aspects of the program, so I'll focus on the next 3 with my remaining time. Even before the program started, St. Pete College's unique and targeted approach was being recognized. When the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurs, the NACE, did a national call for proposals with partner colleges from the United Kingdom on potential grants to foster entrepreneurial partnerships. St. Pete College applied. We were one of 50 U.S. institutions that applied. 10 were selected to travel to Washington to meet with 10 UK institutions regarding possible prospects for funding by the British Council. 2 grants were funded. St. Petersburg College, a consortium of 6 colleges from North Carolina, and 3 UK colleges. The UK delegation traveled to St. Petersburg College in October, and 3 of us are traveling to Glasgow and London in May to meet with those institutions to complete our project, which is to develop, an international entrepreneurship passport. The passport, in its current form, will chronicle and document a student's journey through 5 categories: formal education, the business plan, international investigation and collaboration, entrepreneurship in action, say through an internship or a work program or a volunteer assignment, some meaningful out-of-class activity, and then reflection on the entrepreneurship journey. The idea is to record and certify an extended list of knowledge, skills, and attributes that provides both an action plan for the student and for a vehicle for reflection. Back last fall, barely begun offering our first classes in entrepreneurship when we won not 1, but 2 national awards from the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship at their annual convention. I'd like the 2 recipients to share with the board these awards. Professor Nicole Panuthos, our lead instructor for the program and the chair of the business department at Seminole Campus, was recognized for her pioneering work in curriculum development and enhancement. And Lynn Wolf, our Entrepreneurship Center specialist, received the National Innovation Award for the unique morphing of the Career Center into the Career and Entrepreneurship Center and all of the related evolution of activities and services. One more thing, and can get that to work. Our business plan and elevator pitch competition.
Do you have the next great idea
is
for an
about to
invention,
launch.
product, or service? SPC is launching its first annual business plan and elevator pitch competition with up to $10,000 in cash prizes. Any SPC student enrolled in a degree or certificate program is eligible to participate. Get all the details and apply at the Career and Entrepreneurship Center website and click competition for more details. Or attend an InfoBite information session coming soon to your campus. So hurry and sign up today. The next big idea is out there, and you may have it. Let SPC help you take it to the next level.
We're delighted to tell you about this latest development in the program, and we hope you'll be able to join us on April 20 at 7 p.m. in the Digitorium, when we'll be giving out $10,000 to our best pitches and plans after they compete in a last final round. Lynn has provided you with a flyer with the date circled. Last fall, we went to, and we told them we wanted to have a world-class entrepreneurship program, and that we would need a signature event like this to do so. We asked if he would spot us the $10,000 if we weren't able to get sponsors for the event. But you'll notice that the number on the top of the slide isn't 10, it's 20,000, and the 20,000 represents the amount of money we've raised for this event. $20,000 in awards and funding for the program. In this tough economy, Certified Insurance Underwriters is supporting us as a naming sponsor, and donors have come forward in each of the categories listed on your program.
That's wonderful.
Thanks to Janet Long, to Janice Buchanan, who's gotten a lot of thanks today, but through the foundation and all the foundation friends who assisted us in reaching that goal. It just goes to show the power of a great idea and the importance of giving the next Pinellas County entrepreneur some funding to take their business planning to the next level. So thank you.
Mr. Johnston?
Dr. Oliver, I think this is fantastic. Going back to my days with a national accounting firm, somehow or other, they used to have a tremendous interest in entrepreneurial startups. And I would strongly encourage you, especially the big 4 representatives in the area, to
great idea.
Contact them and tell them what you're doing, because there might be sponsorships there might be
contributions of time on various people, because I know Ernst & Young was deeply involved in this type of startups. And they probably don't know about this, but I'm surprised they wouldn't have been a strong endorser of this. And I would suggest that you try contacting the Big Four in the area.
Looking for Francis New, I think.
I was looking for Mrs. New because we've already had a conversation very much like this, and looking forward to having her be part of the second annual competition and to grow it.
Yeah, this could turn into something, and I don't know where you're going in London. You going to Ashraf?
Actually, the college in London that's the partner is Harrow College.
There's one that you probably ought to look at. Ashworth is, they bring a lot of corporate training, and my wife had a friend who we visited once, and it was an old manor house that they were making so much money on that they just were restoring this manor house. And there's just a tremendous amount of opportunities in this area. But I certainly would encourage your contacting those national accounting firms, and there's probably law firms that'd like to be involved too.
Yeah, I think we scratched the surface on this. Frankly, we were surprised we were so successful, just right out of the chute like this. But this will hopefully get a lot of notoriety and grow.
Anything else for Dr. Oliver or the team?
Yes, right here.
Yes, Mr. Britt.
Dr. Oliver, thank you for the report and congratulations on the recognition. A little bit off topic. How is the Policy Institute coming along, specifically with regard to the search for your director?
We have our interviews with this Friday morning.
And so you suspect that a name will be referred to Dr. Law?
I'm hopeful that we'll find our candidate in that pool and be able to recommend it to Dr. Law.
Okay. And I know that there have been some events that have occurred at the Policy Institute. What's coming forward in the near future?
We've had our three on the oil spill crisis,
right.
And we've had the second just a couple of weeks past on healthcare. And Dr. Nicotera actually led that. It was for practitioners, and we had a couple of folks from Washington and New York come down and talk to us about the intricacies of the healthcare legislation for practitioners. So we're talking about doing a third one in that series, and then we'll move on to who knows what topic. By that time, we hope we have an executive director to assist with some arms and legs on this, but we're open, obviously, to board suggestions.
And pardon me if I've missed this point, but have you already established a board? Is there a board that's...
We have not.
You have not yet? Waiting for the executive?
Correct.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to piggyback on Mr. Brett's comments. I see you said you're going to interviews. Who's on that committee to interview those folks?
There are, it's a large group. Several faculty from all of the campuses were part of the search and screen committee. I know Dr. Cooper is joining us in the interviews. I believe Dr. Berniston is joining us as well. It's a fairly large group.
Can I get a copy of it?
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Dr. Oliver, I have a good contact at Ernst & Young if you need one, so.
Very good. We'll take you up on that.
Remind me on that.
Thanks
for your report.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Dr. Mahoney, did you have anything today? Okay, thank you. It's always good to have you at our meeting. We're now going to have a 5-minute recess, folks. An important part of each one of our board meetings is the completion agenda. And what Dr. Law mentioned earlier, we were the first college in the entire nation to pass the official resolution on our dedication and commitment to the completion agenda. And we decided not only to do that, to make it a real part of each one of our board meetings and our whole college program. And that's what the next 2 reports are going to be on. And Dr. Law, would you please introduce these reports? And I have to tell you, the material that was sent to us as part of this was very impressive.
Thank you. Well, then, you have the where's Jeff Sesta? There he is. Jeff is one of those key staff who doesn't always work at Liddy. He just works very effectively on our relationships with our Pinellas County Schools, and he does a magnificent job for us, and we've asked him to talk about our career pathways and dual enrollment programs this morning.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, Board of Trustees members, and Mr. President, I'm here this morning to speak to you in regards to some of our partnership programs, as Dr. Law mentioned, but this is another partnership program that is separate from the already existing and successful collegiate high school, early college, and dual enrollment program, and that would be the Career Pathways program. What I'd like to say before we actually discuss some of the materials that you see is that the Career Pathways programs have been in existence for several years, but under the leadership of Dr. Law and Dr. Cooper, and under the guidance of Amy Brush and Gary Graham, who actually coordinate these specific programs, we are making a serious effort to start a new marketing campaign and educate the students and the parents of Pinellas County, especially some of the South County schools, into 5 schools in the last month promoting these particular programs. So good things are to come. These programs are designed for students that are not enrolled in your traditional college preparatory track. These are programs that are designed for students in a specific course of study. These students are taking technical education classes in high school that prepare them directly for the workforce, and we're very excited about that. These are alternatives, if you will, to the traditional AA degree that many of our students utilize to transfer within the state university system or matriculate directly into one of our programs. So as Mr. Johnston said earlier, and these are the types of programs that create those types of those hopes. I'd like to bring your attention to the one document that's up on the screen. For the viewers, it's a simple breakdown of all of the technical programs that are provided in Pinellas County schools, and obviously broken down by those particular high schools that offer those programs. And the beauty of these programs, or one of the many beauties of these programs, is that they articulate directly into our certificate and or AS degrees. We revise these specific programs every year as part of the articulation agreement that we have with Pinellas County Schools. We get the deans and the program chairs of these particular programs, and we merge our learning objectives and the outcomes of each class. And the end result is that when these students complete these particular classes in high school, they articulate into college credit here at St. Pete College. And one of the things on the back of this particular document would just show you step-by-step process that a student would need to go through in order to earn these particular sets of credits here at SPC. I know for the sake of time, we don't have an opportunity to go through all of the program flyers, but I would like to commend our marketing and public information department for all of these specific flyers. They are specific to each individual program. They're tailored for these specific programs. Just one, for example, is the Academy of Finance at Northeast High School. It speaks directly to the courses that a student would take in this particular program. And on the back of the program, what we've done is actually listed the courses that you take in high school and what those courses equate to or articulate here at St. Pete College. And again, as I mentioned, these programs are not new, but what we're trying to do is to create a combination of credits here. We're combining dual enrollment credits with the career pathways credits. So an example, if a student takes 6 or 7 high school courses that are equivalent to 6 courses or 6 credit hours here at St. Pete College, that same student that has a 3.0 GPA in the academic side can earn anywhere from 18 to 20 to 24 credits through dual enrollment. So if you've earned 24 credits through dual enrollment and you've earned the 6 credits through career pathways, you just shaved off half of an AA, or you're on your way to an AS degree. So we're very confident that this program will become just as successful, as I mentioned, as the collegiate high school, the early college program, and dual enrollment. It's just another option, and we're focusing on students who have a desire to become educated in a specific technical field. So that said, I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Mr.
I had a question. it was based upon, I guess, the fear that we're stepping on somebody else's toes with the school system, Pinellas County school system, and also with the state of Florida, that we might be spending our resources in a way that the legislature may not be wanting us to, or the Auditor General. And I've checked with Dr. Cooper and Mrs. Gardner about the legality of it, and they seem to feel that we're on safe ground, because I think what we're doing is excellent, because you're reaching down to potential students, and I can see that it's a role for us, but I just wanted to be certain that as far as the trustees go, that we weren't in somebody else's, shouldn't be there. And if we're working in full cooperation with the Pinellas County school system, and they've given us an okay, then I think it's something we should be doing. And as long as we're using the state funds that we're investing in this, and I'm sure we are doing some, that we won't be criticized by the Auditor General for doing something that's not our mission. And I think both of the ladies I talked to this morning gave me pretty good assurance that we were not doing anything wrong.
This is all part of dual enrollment, right?
It's actually a combination. Career Pathways is separate from dual enrollment. These are high school classes that are taught by the high school teachers. The dual enrollment courses are either taught by our adjunct faculty or faculty that we credential in the high school.
But the high school courses are being paid for by the K-12 system.
That is exactly correct. And that's why it is a true partnership in every sense of the word. By no means are we infringing. It's the Pinellas County school system. This is a partnership that they also want to work, because it provides an opportunity for those specific high schools as a recruitment tool. They want more students to come to that particular school because it offers a particular technology program or finance type program.
Mr. Chair, that's why I asked the legal, and we got Dr. Cooper involved, that we weren't doing something that would expose us to bad comments by the Auditor General, because they sometimes take auditors take a dim view when you're doing, they think you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing.
Dr. Cessna, this material is magnificent. I mean, this is this students who, you take the finance one, and you just say, students get frustrated, I didn't take the proper courses before while in high school to make me ready for the college courses. You can't be any more clear than this. Just how do the students, how does a high school student know about this material? And are there guidance counselors, or are there other ways that they get this information? I'm not even sure what the ways students get information now.
That's a great question. And that's exactly why we're on a mission now to educate the students and the parents. We're going to all of the high schools now to do presentations. And as I mentioned earlier, we've been to 4 or 5 in South County in the last month. Our goal is to continue to educate the students, not only in high school, but try to capture the 8th grade students, because a lot of those courses begin when you're in the 9th grade, and it's actually too late to get you or to attract students to the programs when they're already started their 9th grade curriculum. So,
do we do any, like, with our website, do we have a separate section of the website for this, or?
We actually do, and one of the things that we've created in addition to the flyers are classroom posters to host a technology education teacher workshop next year, so that we can also have the teachers that teach these specific programs educate the students prior to coming into those particular programs. But we do have a website, and Amy Brush and Gary Graham are working through the Perkins grant to update that, because the goal is to refer those kids and parents directly to that website so that they can see the credits that they will earn.
So it's the career pathway search is what gets you to that website?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You may want to consider, and this is obviously, board members careful making suggestions, put an email address too on these, in each of these posters.
Okay.
In general, so that if they have questions, they can email those.
We can certainly do that.
Just a thought. Who has questions? This is really
an excellent program.
It is. I didn't even know we were doing all this. This is quite educational to me.
Because you're reaching down to the students that really need.
It's just.
And it's another
just another thing this college is doing and that enhances our own community.
It's easy to understand. Mr. Gibbons?
I just want to thank Dr. Sesta for, every time you come before us, you give us good quality information, and you're always prepared, and you're just precise and to the point. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is. Good stuff. Anyone else? Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now we have a team report here on student retention initiatives by Dr. Campbell, Ms. Griggs, and Ms. Ulmer.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Board of Trustees, Dr. Law. Access changes self-perception. Degrees and certificates change lives. Have you heard that before? The topic we'd like to discuss with you this morning is retention strength and student success. There are multiple retention initiatives taking place college-wide in an effort to improve retention rates and help our students reach the finish line. Some are proven effective and others are experimental. Today we'll be sharing one of each with you. My song today is, do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Do you know? Do you get what you're hoping for? When you look behind you, there's no open door. What are you hoping for? Do you know? Well, Dr. Pat Renard, over the last couple of terms, has shared with us data that, in fact, our students do not know, many of them, where they're going to or what they're hoping for. We have a significant population of students that have undeclared majors. In doing our research at Downtown and Midtown, we identified 200 students who are undecided majors. We have undertaken an experiment to try to reach these students and help them with the transition from undecided to decided and excited. Dr. Jerry Cade, our counselor, has designed a 4-hour career assessment and advising workshop that will be offered over 2 consecutive Fridays, starting on April the 8th. The workshop will be free of charge to these students, and we've posted the workshop on the Downtown and Midtown website. We've sent promotional flyers to the students' homes, and we've followed up with emails. Will this effort be successful? We hope so, and I will keep you posted. But this one falls under an experiment. I'd like to turn our attention now.
Mrs. Ulmer,
Yes.
I just want to compliment you and the people involved with that, because the board saw those statistics, on the completion, and the folks who have undeclared are the ones who have the lowest success rate. And so combating that in a tangible type of program, you may have worked out, but you're experimenting with something to at least get us in the direction of solving that issue. So this is good. We get a problem. There's a potential solution here. So that's wonderful.
And I appreciate my supervisors that allow me to experiment. I'd like to turn my attention now to a program that started out as an experiment, but now has a track record of success to build upon. And that's the Bill Gates Bridge to Success program that was spearheaded by my soul sisters, Dr. Martha
Is there a song
Campbell.
here?
There is. And Sharon Griggs. And I'd like to turn it over to them now to talk about the success of that program.
Good morning. Last year, Sharon Griggs and I wrote a grant to the Florida Department of Education. We applied for a Florida Developmental Initiative grant that was funded in part by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Lumina Foundation. We received that grant for $30,000, and thanks to the college, that grant was matched by $30,000. This is a 3-year program. This is the first year we have offered courses within the program. Okay, I need to move the slide forward. I haven't done this before, so there it is. Thank you. There are 4 goals. One is to reduce the time in remedial coursework. In the past, if you took a remedial math course, you would sit through that course for 16 weeks, even if you only had a few of the competencies that you were lacking, right? Same was true in English. Same was true in reading. Our goal is to reduce that time in remedial coursework, which is good for everyone, especially the students, but the taxpayers as well, as much as possible. The work from 16 weeks to 8 weeks or even 4 weeks. We do that by increasing the time on task in a media-rich environment and using a software program and very experienced, strong, dedicated faculty to individualize the instruction offered by addressing the deficiencies of those students. Of course, deficiencies is kind of a strong word. I would rather say working on the strengths of the students, but also acknowledging what they need to work on. The goal is to promote student success through careful supervision by faculty.
Do you mind getting questions throughout, or would you rather wait?
You can ask them anytime you want. Now's good.
On that, so the student taking the college placement test.
Right.
If in the math section, if they do fine in one area, so that you're doing some type of diagnostic testing on that and saying these are the area, them up with that coursework?
Yes, this has been a college-wide grant. Mr. Burke, the testing center referred these students to us when they noticed that they were falling within certain CPT scores. The students filled out a survey, we contacted them, and then we gave them a diagnostic test to find out exactly what areas they needed to remediate.
Can you give me an example of math for,
For math?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, the students.
Come this way.
The students took the CPT. We had a range of scores. We took the upper level of that range of scores, and we invited those students to be part of this program, at least initially. We may lower those scores a bit as we go along, but initially we invited the top students in that range that were close, very close to being out of developmental math. And we gave them a software package called ALEX. And ALEX has a diagnostic test that they take, and that diagnostic test tells them exactly what topics they need to remediate in.
Okay.
So they work strictly on those
So if
topics.
they're good at multiplication but bad at division?
Absolutely.
You're just knowing that they're bad at division and working with them on
Right,
that.
exactly.
And that's the only remediation?
Exactly.
So it's not a general remediation
No.
course? That is magnificent.
It's a wonderful program.
So do they then test out of them? They dig in, take the test again, and then test out?
Let's see if I'm on here.
If you stand there a minute, he'll put it on. And you don't need to stoop down. They'll capture you.
As Martha said, we're not used to doing this. But we're very happy to share this information. Yes, at the end, they do take the exit exam, the state exit exam, and at this point, we're giving them the entire exit exam. There may be a chance down the road when the state kicks in on their diagnostic test, and that we may be able to give an exit exam. So they would not have to retest over the materials that they know at the beginning.
We're also very excited because of the strength of the diagnostic test has really, as you said, allowed us to fine tune, and that makes all the difference. We call this program the My Bridge to Success program. That was the goal, and we have early good results. This is the first semester of the program. In the first 8 weeks, there were 99 students enrolled in the basic writing course, ENC 0990, that is within the grant. Of those 99 students, 63% finished in 8 weeks, I should say, or less. Because if a student is ready in the faculty member's mind and has met those competencies, that student can test early, not having to wait to the end of the 16 weeks to show competency. An average passing rate of 60% over the last 3 years in our 16-week classes. Half of those students are now taking Comp 1 in the same semester, because this means they went from a developmental course to a Comp 1 course, many times with the same faculty member this semester, in the same semester. And what was really surprising is that 8 weeks went so fast
that many of them didn't withdraw. 10% withdrawal rate, that is very low withdrawal rate. So we feel that those students have crossed the finish line, at least in developmental, and we have a statistical model to follow them as they go. And then for the reading, we're still working on looking at that, but there's a downtown midtown statistic. We had 18 students enrolled. The pass rate was 72%. Stacy Hughes is a very dynamic faculty leader, and of those students, 18 students, 2/3 are now in her Comp 1 class, because whenever possible, we tried to have the same teacher teaching those students in developmental and then on into the college transfer work. Yes?
Are you going to spread this to other disciplines? Because it sounds like you're getting excellent results.
Well, within the grant, the grant is through July 12th, is only in English, reading, and math developmental, but the course redesign movement, which is what it's called, is national movement in course redesign, is also for college transfer courses, Comp 1, humanities, other types of courses.
Dr. Campbell, the college placement test, what disciplines is it measuring?
Sentence skills, reading, and math.
Now, you talked about the grant's going to run out in July. Are you going to stop it?
No. No, we've got a train running down the track, so I'm not going to stand in front of that train.
No, I was just going to encourage you to do, Dr. Law, to build this into our budget.
July of 12.
Of 12.
That we continue this program, because obviously you are getting excellent results. And this has to benefit the students.
Yeah, we're very excited.
If you don't get the grant, somehow let us know so we can encourage that we still can carry it forward.
I think what we'll do is we'll reform our curriculum from within, and instead of offering so many 16-week courses, we'll be offering 8-week courses.
Well, I think what's interesting is that you leave them with that instructor, because the instructor, one, knows the student, knows whether they've been deficient, how they've grown, and also the student gets to know the instructor very well and what they're looking for. I think that's pretty smart.
Thank you. And another thing is they're not asking 4 hours either of tuition, 4 credit hours. Some are paying 1, some are paying 2, some are paying 3, depending on how many competencies that they are remediating. That required a college-wide effort of the student support team here. None of this would have been possible without all of the academic advisors, the testing folk, enrollment management, Dr. Pat Renard, and others standing behind the program. It has been a coordinated effort. In the reading, we had 24 students enrolled. 63% have completed in 8 weeks or less. Some of the students are still working because we did not kick them out at the end of 8 weeks. If they are continually making progress, we are continuing to work with them. And the leader there has been Dr. Sharon Williams.
In math, you can just, I don't think I have the controls. I think Yvonne has them.
Oh.
Okay. In math, I'm very proud to say that this program is in 5 campuses. We have 46 students enrolled so far, 12 sections. Some are combined, but I love our start dates. We had 4 sections of 4 weeks with start dates in January, February, and we're hoping for what we are going to call the last 4 weeks of the session. We're hoping to get students in that are getting, they're coming in to register for summer. If they're in that range, let's get them in, let's get them remediated while spring is still here, and then they can be ready for college level courses by summer school. We had 7 sections of 8-week classes, 1 section of 12-week. And again, like Martha said, they're offered for 1, 2, and 3 credits. They're taught by full-time and 2 adjunct instructors. And as far as our successes are concerned, now these numbers are small, but we wanted to start small, we wanted to be successful, and we wanted to build this program from a very small beginning. All 6 4-week 1 session were 100% successful, are currently enrolled in the 12-week Math 1033. 4 students in the 8-week 1 session were ahead of schedule, completed early, and are likewise enrolled in Math 1033. Overall, see, we've just finished 8 weeks. In fact, we started the second 8 weeks yesterday. Overall, 38 students are enrolled in the first 8 weeks. Were enrolled in the first 8 weeks. 24 completed for 63% completion rate. Again, that's higher than our normal completion rate. Downtown, which is why Yvonne brought us forward here today, 75% were successful. And I am most proud of this. As Martha said about the withdrawals, we only had 2 withdrawals college-wide out of those 38 students. The rest of them are continuing to work with their instructor. If they haven't passed the course yet or the exit exam, they're continuing to work with that same instructor so that they can pass by the end of this semester. We are excited. They're disappointed, but we wrote this into the grant that we would take the summer to reflect and build our courses for fall. So
Do you have a method of following these students in their other academic endeavors to see how they function going forward?
Yes, that will be part of our statistical model, yes.
Because you're teaching, obviously, these students how to handle a learning opportunity they don't have. And if they can translate that into other classes, then they'll be highly successful.
Yes.
Dr. Carraggio worked with us on a statistical model that was part of the grant to make sure we could track the cohort through their college work.
Oh, good.
Is this a college-wide program now?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Campuses.
Mine is, we're all in all campuses. And we got all campuses involved from the beginning. There was talk about let's pilot here or there, you know, and I was like, no, let's throw this out for the whole college. But anyway, our numbers are small, but we're up and running.
Mr. Brett?
Ms. Ulmer, in your opening comments, you said you had identified 200 students
Yes.
who had not declared a major?
Yes.
And that was for downtown and midtown?
Downtown and midtown,
And that would be out of how many total students?
out of 3,000 students total.
Out of 3,000. Does that number, to your knowledge, is that pretty equal over the entire?
I'm not sure. I don't know, Dr. Renard? would
Dr.
you-
Law?
I need to intervene. That's probably a pretty good finding, and it probably looks that way. The caution you hear in my voice is, we counsel students to pick a major because that's a criterion for receiving financial aid. So we often hide the problem from ourselves by urging a student to say, oh yeah, that's my major.
But it's not really.
But it's not, it may or may not
Yeah.
be. But the ones who are, they're going to be part-time, they're going to be new entry students, they're probably unlikely to be 18 years old, they're going to be people coming back. We're really on to the people who need our help most here. The numbers, I'll say one more thing. Tanja has a new orientation program ready to roll out this. 1,500 students, Tanja, is that how many? 1,600 students. And we're going to be focusing a great deal on making sure students are enunciating their goals correctly at the front door. So we think if we can marry that with the better diagnosis, with a more intrusive program, it looks like the three things are starting to converge to where we can really make sure students are successful from day one. So this is great work. This is,
Yeah. And the other question, that 10% withdrawal rate that you had referenced.
Right.
How does that compare to your average withdrawal rate?
The average withdrawal rate many times in developmental courses is as high as 30%.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's awful.
Thank you.
It's very discouraging to go to college and not go to college, so.
Well, this committing to a major, I can understand a lot of students. I remember my own son calling me from school and saying, I don't know what I really want to do yet. And I'm sure a lot of students know they're going to college, but they haven't quite put a handle on where they're going to be after graduation. What kind of a degree are they going to have? And I've talked to some students, and I've told them, you will probably change your mind several times from when you enter college as to what your major is really going to be and how it's going to end up. And I remember my son called me, and I said, well, walk up and down the street mentally and take out all of the medical profession people, and you'll find that these people today in their employment are probably not in the area that they went to school in, because we changed so much. that that doesn't, it never really bothered me too much, as long as they're still eager on getting an education, whether they this major or that major.
Okay. Any other comments? The only point, the reason I mentioned it, because in those statistics that we were handed several meetings ago, was that the folks with the undeclared were the lowest retention of anyone. So I mean, it seems like if a student has a goal of some type, whatever it is, or somewhat defined, that their chances of retention go up. I mean, I'm certainly not a professional educator, but I can read statistics, and that screamed out at us. Mr. Gibbons.
I'm glad to see this program. I think the one thing that I used to hear the most from some students is they felt like they didn't belong because they stayed in remedial courses for so long.
Amen.
And here's an opportunity for us to really figure out how we can help them and then give them some type of system that can stay in and feel like they belong.
And especially taking a remediation course where you know half of it.
you
Why am I
tell them,
sitting
yeah.
here taking this half if I already know this, when I only need the other half here, defining it into saying this, we're going to make you take a general remediation course in math, and instead, we're just going to work on this one specific area with you. I mean, this is tremendous. This is great stuff for our board to hear. It's great stuff for our college to be doing. This is where we all should be, student-focused, and this is just so positive in so many ways. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mr.
No, I
Chairman.
agree.
was
I'm
excited.
totally on point. I mean, I think, Mr. Chair, this will have a direct impact on the minority students that we always are sitting there counting. I think it'll have an immediate
everyone.
direct impact on those. But not just the minority students, I mean, with those students that really come and don't finish.
Right.
I think now they have an opportunity to really have a program that's tailor-made for them, that they can get through that initial, because the initial step is the hardest one usually, so.
And this was a great one-two punch, having this packet here from the high school success programs, pathways to success, and going right into this. I mean, just great. Any other closing comments on this topic? Dr. Law, any?
The work being done.
Great job, everyone. Thank you so much. And this is just, this is just exciting for the board to hear this type of thing and to see the meaningful work that's being done. I mean, this is really meaningful work. I mean, this is just tremendous. Okay, I will entertain a motion that we approve item D, 1, and 2.
So moved. Second.
The motion's made by Mr. Gibbons, it's been seconded by Mr. Johnston. I just had that quick question, I didn't see it in the answer. The attachment sheet that we usually comes with grants, did we just not do it for these two and we'll do it in the future? We didn't stop that, did we? Because usually there's a information sheet which just says.
I'll double check it.
Okay, those are very helpful to me,
Okay.
just making sure that
I'll double check it.
expenses are all covered, that type of thing.
Is that the response is that there was no funding detail on it? School board's getting $60,000, you may get some travel reimbursement, but that was it. Essentially.
We'll make sure that's included.
Okay, thank you. I just, those were helpful, I just didn't want to abandon them. Okay, motion's been made and second, seeing no further to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve item E1?
So moved.
By Mr. Brett, seconded by Mr. Gibbons. Any discussion? I just want to thank the president for his action on this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll now have a review of the schematic design for the downtown center. And Susan, thank you for your explanation of the cost per square foot.
You're welcome. We are,
Did you get that personally, or? I'd like to hear that.
Mr. Johnson obviously had the same question, so if you could address that in your remarks, it'd be appreciated.
okay. This is the work that we're going to be starting shortly and doing over the summer at the downtown center. So the third floor presently looks like this, and it's vacant space, what we call shelled out space right now. And we're going to go ahead and put two classrooms in this space. And those classrooms are set up with the ability to, at a later date, turn them into science labs, specifically A&P labs. You can see that there's a area in the middle that's a designated storage, which could be a prep space in the future. And we also are required to build out the corridor space for life safety and exiting reasons. So this will get us started right away, and we still have 7,000 square feet of shelled out space there that can be used for future build-out. In addition to that, we're going to go ahead on the 4th floor and take this room that you see in yellow here and turn it into a science room with a prep space. This is full science, hoods, benches, everything in it. And to answer your question, what we did here is we put the science classroom remodeling and the classrooms in the corridor all together in one project to take advantage of the fact that the contractor is on site. So we're going to share general conditions costs, supervision cost, bonding, all of that kind of thing. Therefore, the cost per square foot becomes less than what you saw at the Seminole campus, because at the Seminole campus, all we were doing was giving you a cost per square foot for just the science classrooms.
And it was also just upgrading existing science classrooms. We weren't adding fume hoods. We weren't adding the gas utilities. We were enhancing that space to make it function better, but we weren't building it from scratch. So there's a cost difference for that reason, and it is more expensive for this component.
So this work will be done over the summer. This science lab will be ready for classes in August, and the 2 classrooms that you saw on the 3rd floor are scheduled to be ready for express session.
Questions for Mrs. Ryder?
Well, I still, the $147 per square foot, maybe I just lost contact with costs.
What it is the lab on this floor is roughly $379 per square foot for that science lab. But when you factor the economical cost of the corridor and the other 2 classrooms, when you look at the cost per square footage of the entire program, it makes it appear less, that $147, because we already have the structure in place. We have, some of the mechanical systems in place.
Yeah, that's what I had known, because I've seen the space, and I know you have the exterior, it's just open. But you're saying particularly that this cost gets driven up by the fact that it's a science lab, and you've got to prepare additional...
Correct, but the cost appears to get driven down because you've got the more economical space being part of that.
Right.
The science lab, it's costing, $370 a square foot. If you look at the classrooms, it's costing $80 a square foot, but because there's so much more classroom, it drops that down to $147.
See, I didn't realize that your science classroom ran that much per square foot.
For that, when you're looking at just a space, when you're looking at an entire building that has science labs in it, it doesn't cost $400 a square foot or $379 a square foot. But when you're looking at just one science lab, and that's 1,500 square foot, 5 fume hoods, all of the utilities being run to it, it is a premium cost for that one space.
We appreciate the education. If there's no more questions, I will entertain a motion that we approve item E.
So move.
Well, let me finish. E2. And if we can, go F and G at the same time.
I'll still move.
Okay, great, Mr. Johnson. Now, is there a second by Mr. Gibbons? Any discussion on any other item there? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. This public hearing is now called to order. Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll move to a motion. Is there a motion to approve item H? By Mr. Brett, seconded by Mrs. Bilirakis. I just had a question, and I do think, especially in view of what we just heard from, it seemed as if we were adding something, an additional roadblock potentially to a person taking college courses. So I see Dr. Smiley here, and you gave me a good answer on this, and I appreciate it. Would you mind talking about this? Because I thought your answer was very exciting.
We just keep calling Dr. Smiley out.
Guy just wants to sit down. He's getting his daily exercise.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, board members.
Thanks for being with us.
Just wanted certainly to update you as it relates to what we call our SLS 1126, which allows us then to provide what amounts to a faculty mentor for all those students that are testing into the developmental classes into 2 developmental areas. As it stands right now, we have tested the research nationwide. We have tested the research as it relates to our own local work. And it's very, very clear that it has a tremendous impact on the success rate of our students in terms of being retained and moving forward in the classwork in all levels, whether it is in fact developmental or whether it is in fact the normal classrooms or normal college work equally as well. So each of our students that are testing in the two developmental areas then will invariably be assigned to a faculty member, a mentor that will work with them, especially through their college experience. And all the data, as far as we can see, suggests to us that the retention level of our students, along with the things that you've heard so far, will have a positive impact on our students.
Thank you so much. This is just an example. I mean, you read item H in our board packet, it seems fairly benign, and then you get an explanation like you gave me in the email and today as to what this really means as far as students, and it becomes a much more exciting item. So I applaud you again for this effort in helping students succeed, which is what we're here for. Any other comments or questions on this? No. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report update, Dr. Law.
Yes, we have, we'll do the financial report, and then we want to give you a little bit of a glimpse of a planning tool that we'll be rolling out for you next month, but we can't stand ourselves. It's come along so nicely. So.
Good morning. It's not nearly as exciting as the retention initiative, but hopefully it'll show that we have some money maybe to fund the retention initiative in the future. A couple of quick comments, just some financial highlight. A question was asked about the lottery last month, and we did, shortly after that meeting, receive our first lottery payment, which unfortunately was down about $380,000 from the prior year. I did discover, too, that holdback is really dependent on them paying out the Bright Futures before they allocate to the agencies. We have about a $16 million surplus, which is up about $1.3 million over the prior year, but as you'll see, our gap is now starting to narrow, so through the rest of the year, you'll see that surplus begin to decline as we move toward the end of the year, and it'll become a more reasonable number. Significant number you saw in the detail is that the auxiliary, where you see under other revenue, the auxiliary revenue is up about a little over $298,000, which is due primarily to increased textbook sales. Follett reported a very significant increase in their volume, even though the individual price, because of the rental program, the individual price of each item went down, but the total sales went up. This is primarily due to your textbook credit. And I put a comment there that you also see in the expense that the total cost of that through the spring term is a little over $735,000.
I don't understand that. Give me the 735 again, textbook credit cost.
Okay,
the $20
the board credit, the $20 credit that we gave,
okay.
that we put out cost $735,000, excuse me.
What was our projection on the cost of that?
We originally budgeted $500,000, and we're actually, if you net the increased sales, we're actually a little ahead of schedule.
We went over.
Yeah, but that was going to be for one semester, right? And
right.
I mean,
Okay.
look at what it's done.
Okay,
It's driven it has driven students to the bookstore and working through the issues. It's been very successful. I applaud the board for this.
Dr. Law, in our budgeting going forward, we're probably going to end up getting a tuition increase again from the legislature. I'd like to see us consider this program even in the next year's budget, because I think it's going to help the students with their textbooks. And there's, obviously, you got textbooks out there, $200, and any little bit going to the students to help them with those textbooks is monumental.
I will tell you, it had a much bigger impact than I thought. I'm not a everybody thinks they know marketing. If someone would have told me it would drive this much traffic to the bookstores for $20, I would not have guessed it. It has been stunningly successful, and if we can, we will continue to keep this on the books for another year to see how we can manage this.
Yes, much appreciated by the students. Real quick, I gave you a month-to-month, month-over-month actual, and I just wanted to point out in the lower right corner that shows our declining surplus down about $3.1 million month-over-month. So again, it will continue to decline. As you see on the chart, we are our expenses are right on target with the trend line at the beginning of the year. On the revenue side, that trend line recurring revenue, And what you're seeing in the actual revenue includes the federal stimulus, so that's why it's a little bit higher than that line. But otherwise, even the revenue would be right on the trend line as far as the recurring portion goes. Next is a little preview. Dr. Law, do you want to just include that?
No, we have started the process of building next year's budget, not surprisingly, and we've done a handful of new things. We will be in a position next month to engage the board on key priorities, the big picture of the budget, what should be included, how much, and those kinds of things. And we've started to identify key elements for that. So we anticipate some reduction in the community college program fund. That is the basic funding formula for the colleges. No, we have not seen any yet. It's still behind the scenes. The legislature is doing its work as we speak, but we expect that there will be some reduction. Everybody is welcome to their own best guess. We know that the federal stimulus money will go away. Again, this institution anticipated that, so that is, if that were the only problem we had, life would be very nice, thank you, and I congratulate Tom and the board for the work that they've done. Our enrollment growth has been strong, and we're in the process of finishing the guaranteed annual schedule for next year, so we'll have a very good enrollment estimate for you. We will show you that we have already put the...
By the way, that's great, we have a guaranteed schedule.
You're
I know
gonna
that's
love
something
it.
you brought to this
You are
college,
gonna
that's
love it
tremendous.
when it's done, okay.
Again, it's student and faculty friendly.
It's not dean friendly right now, okay, but they'll get there.
Is that why they have the dementia you mentioned earlier?
Yes, we've inflicted this on them.
I have a question in regards to that. Will you ever end up with one faculty member and one?
No.
So you're not going to take our program costs down that low. If there's just not the demand, it won't be put forward.
Everyone thinks, there's several ways to do this, Ms. Johnson. When we lay it out, you'll see that the benefits of this are enormous for counseling, for early registration, for better planning, for everything else. You eat a couple of small classes along the way. There's a cost to doing that. But changing the dialogue of how people perceive going to school is enormously beneficial.
Plus, this isn't an experiment. You've done this in
And
Tallahassee.
I'm telling you, when you get there, you look back and you say, why did we ever think the old way was better? Stick with us, though. But we know how to control the opening of sections, especially in a growth environment, so that you have almost no, there's no downside to this. The average up when all is said and done.
Well, that was my only concern.
The average class size will be higher next year than it is this year.
That we don't end up with the program.
No.
We put it on, we schedule it, and no matter if only one student shows up, because that isn't good.
No, and that won't occur. What will occur, though, is that we will plan for some small sections, say in high-end math at all of the campuses. We will plan, we offer probably 1,600 or 1,800 course sections a semester now. And we will be adding some so that students can get access to the programs they need. But you're talking about 20 or 30 courses, maybe, that'll have 12 to 15 rather than 20 to 25.
Sure.
It's almost unmeasurable, but for the students, it's enormous benefit. The big numbers kick in, and then you start saying, let's not confuse students. You want this course, it works. We have, let's just jump out. You see, we've already anticipated some of our utilities, health and technology costs. Those are pretty identifiable. The challenges you see, we had a full-day workshop on strategic plan stuff, things that followed your workshop. You gave us 4 or 5 key areas to look at, and we started putting strategies as to how we could implement those. We'll share those with you. We had a day-long session. It was fabulous. It worked like a charm. Compensation is, of course, an ongoing and a key item, and we want to put that right up at the front. PICO funding is a challenge. We have some of our own monies. There will be a very diminished PICO funding from the state. In fact, we're likely only to get repair and renovation funds. They are talking about no PICO, if you can believe it.
Now,
They will
why?
only fund projects that are already in the works.
Go funds down that much?
Yeah.
The utilities are still, seem like collecting a lot of money.
I'm not an expert on the inside of that, but a lot of that was the telephone and related utilities, not so much the electric and gas, because you're really bonding the new monies in those areas as opposed to, you get to a certain level, then additional bonding capacity is just going to be the growth in those areas. And quite frankly, there's no growth in telephone communications because they don't tax this, they only tax landlines. So it's been a problem. It's in deep trouble. There's $88 million for all of higher education next year.
Wow.
There are years when this institution probably got $80 million. So it's dire. We can fund some from our own resources. We have a capital improvement fee coming to you to add a little bit to that. So it's not a zero, but it's a big issue.
And do we bond that fee too?
We have done. I will tell you that there's a movement afoot to expand that, and the governor's office indicated its support contingent upon the fact that we don't bond it. The governor does not believe that taking on more debt is a good item, even if you have a revenue stream for it. So he is true to his principles on those things. But it's pay-as-you-go on capital improvement, I think. So
Actually, bonding is pay-as-you-go. In theory, if you're going to use something for a useful life of 15 years and you bond for 15 years, you're paying as you go.
I think the macro level says how much state debt are we willing to have in total. And
That's he's concerned with the state.
That's the issue, yes. It's coming
credit
right out
rating.
of the state bond office, okay? So that's where we find ourselves, Mr. Chair. If I sound like I'm arguing, I'm just describing.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm not, okay? Our strengths are, you'll see the recurring revenue stream. We're in pretty good shape. We've got a healthy fund balance. You're aware that we're pushing everything into one budget. Let's go ahead and just demonstrate the tool. Again, one of my goals is to have this board in a position, so what we have put, stop right there, is 3 years. You have a 3-year budget. You see 11, 12, 12, 13, Doug, come over just a little bit, okay? And we have started to plunk in the 11, 12, some of the things that we see coming over the horizon. So we have planned, if we had a 5% cut, you see the minus 2.7 million. The lottery funds are coming out so that we can start putting together a 3-year budget, revenue and expense. Scroll down if you would, Doug, and you can see the bottom line. It produces total funds remaining of 2.15. Now, here's the trick with this. Let's jump out. We can ask you, the board, in fact, we'll put it out on the website, everybody can do it. What level of tuition increase would you like us to include? So we can put in a 5% growth.
It's showing a 5%.
It's showing a 5% growth already. You can see how much that occurs, what it means for the capital improvement fee, the tech fee, all of those kinds of things. If you want to make that 6%, go ahead, Doug, just so we can show how it works. I'm sorry, make the percent increase 6% if you would. You did, okay?
Yeah, I did.
Now let's go back.
Now you can
and
see
you
what it
see that it added some monies to the bottom line. Let's go in. We can put a projected enrollment increase. We have a projector by each of the 3 years. So if you want to put 4%, 4%, 4%. No, I want to be
all the way out.
8. I
Okay.
wanted 4% per year. And then 8, so Mr. Burke, this would be about half of the current growth rates that we're experiencing. But again, we're all...
Is this tuition increase or just based on growth?
Well, you have both. You can put in a growth factor and then a tuition factor. Notice what it did. The growth and the tuition bumped us to a $5 million starting point. And then, Doug, just go ahead and show in the expense calc. We've started the process to put, if you wanted to put a pay increase, put in 1% just so we can show everybody what it looks like. You need $918,000 for each 1%.
You look right there.
And you see that it now shows up as a cost.
And then the bottom line
And then the
is
bottom line is subsequently reduced. So as we identify expenses, we'll have a dialogue with the board about what number to project for both enrollment increase and for tuition increase. What would you like to include in the budget? We can all watch the numbers change in front of our very eyes, and then we'll start listing the projects in fulfillment of we have another spreadsheet linked to it that handles the projects, and as we process it in this room with this group, we'll watch the budget develop in front of our eyes to your comfort level.
Do we think that as the employment, hopefully unemployment comes down, that our enrollment will tend to come down with that?
I think it will. I'm not sure that we're at that point yet, but I think we should be prudent that yes, that's going to happen. And the other part is, I think tuition is an elastic commodity. I don't think you can continue to raise it without an impact.
Yep.
We still may be the least expensive, but $100 a credit hour is
It's
still
expensive.
$100 if you don't have it.
expensive.
You know, it's just not there.
Is there
I'm sorry.
any sign from the legislature that they will more or less mandate a tuition increase?
No, and I think that's an important piece, because I'm going to work with you to get us in control of that dialogue. Here's what I'd like to do. Last year, for instance, they permitted an 8% increase. Now, we had lobbied hard for it, so I get that. What I'd like to do, though, is before they give us a number, let's look at our 3-year budget projection and say, what if we want 5% or 6% each year for 3 years? What does that mean for students? What does that mean for our budget? I want to get to the day when we're not subject to waiting for the legislature to tell us how much we can raise. We could create capacity for ourselves. If we didn't raise it 8%, let's say last year we only raised it 5%, you would have 3% in your hand. You could make a decision today to raise next year by 3%. If you do that 2 years in a row, you can plan a whole year in advance. You then have enough flexibility within the established guidelines to push your tuition to whatever level you want for your students going forward. I think that's a benefit for us, rather than wait till the last minute and hope that the legislature will do something or untoward. That's for the board to decide, but it is not as, one of the things I want to do is to break the notion that we are they take an action in the morning and we feel the impact in the afternoon. I don't believe that.
I didn't think we had the authorization, though, to move tuition on our own.
Can we take a second, Mr. Chairman? Or you
Sure,
want to push this next one?
absolutely.
The legislature has what they call a standard tuition. It's a number per credit hour. And when they raise tuition, they raise that number by the percentage you talk. So they raise that number by 8%. You have to be within 15% of that on the high side and 10% on the low side. So you're within a corridor around the standard tuition. If they raise it 8%, you can raise the top 8%, and that's what this institution has done. But it doesn't require you to raise the top 8%. To a little lower spot in the corridor, you then have capacity in the corridor that you can use at some future date. And I think I think you ought to assess that for its value.
Any future date? That's rolled out how far? Indefinitely.
The legislature has authorized tuition within this range, and you are at your liberty to make that change going forward.
As a law sits now.
And I think it's a terribly valuable planning tool, and I think it's enormously helpful for us to communicate for students so that they can plan. The benefit of a 3-year plan, if we could put some tuition in there, is not lock it in, but give students the sense that here's where things are headed. And I'll make my final point, you'll hear me make it again. It's also a way for us to confirm that we're not balancing the budget on the back of the students. We're taking prudent action within a big picture framework with or without.
Mr. Gibbons?
That's exactly what I was going. I didn't want to have to balance the budget on the back of the students. And if the legislature gives us that flexibility, which I'm sure it does, I'm positive it does, then we can really plan better going forward.
Mr. Johnson?
I think what we're saying is, what kind of a bottom line do we really want?
Exactly.
Do we want to continue to increase fund balance, or we want to say, we want a break-even budget? What is our philosophy as an institution?
I think that's, thank you for looking at me, but I really think that's a board discussion, to be perfectly honest.
Did you say at next meeting, this is going to be?
Next meeting, this is the substance of what I'd like to do, though. But if you'll look at your ending fund balances are getting, I think, eye-popping in some cases.
But I think that's, the decision is, do we want to keep adding to the bottom line? Do we want the bottom line? Do we want a negative budget? As we're starting these new enterprises, they're going to cost money, and if we think they're worthwhile, maybe we should pay for them out of what we've already got.
Mr. Johnson, the whole purpose of this is, if we bring you a notion, we're going to show you how much it's going to cost you this year, next year, and then at implementation, we're going to put it in the budget, and you're going to see the impact on the bottom line, no financial surprises. And then we can afford it, or we can't, or we'll trim the sails, or whatever. So that's...
This is going to be one of the big focuses of next board meeting, too. So
Well, I wonder, Mr. Chairman, if we shouldn't anticipate a longer board meeting and really get into the philosophy of what we want this college to look like from revenue and expense. And it may take philosophically more time than we generally have at board meetings.
I'm beginning to anticipate all long board meetings.
I'm sorry. We're going on.
That's a good thing.
I thought
this was going to be a real short one today. But this is meaty stuff. You're right, Dick, and I'm belittling it, because, as a matter of fact, there's not a part of this board meeting today. Everything has been so valuable, we've learned. So, I mean, this is important stuff.
Well, maybe we should anticipate the next board meeting that we end up eating lunch here. I don't know, because this is almost like going to be a workshop.
Let me coordinate with...
Susan, go
The
ahead.
next board meeting is in Tarpon Springs.
Okay.
And so we've got the meeting and then the event, so luckily General's.
All right, we'll work on the schedule.
And we got Greek food.
And we have really two bites of the apple. We have next month's April board meeting. And then I would expect, and I think some of that dialogue is appropriate at that level. And then I hope to have really best and heavy lifting at the May board meeting. I'd like to leave June as really just blessing what you have already discussed and guided, and you see the final numbers. But I'm anticipating April, but May is really the big board meeting on budget.
Mr. Gibbons, first of all, please.
I just remind the board members, this is our number one, this is the reason we're on the board. This is the number one priority for us. I will tell you that the few conversations I've had with the governor's office, he's watching everybody's budget, how they're putting it together, who's supportive of his budget. So this is this is kind of where the rubber meets the road for us. Some of us who are trying to get reappointed, we're really going to have to be very financially prudent going forward and figure out how we do this properly.
Well, I wonder, Mr. Chairman, if this shouldn't be a workshop when the timing is. If it was after April 15th, I don't mind. But somewhere along the way, we need to dwell into this at the appropriate level. Because philosophically, we're setting different tones of how this college moves forward than we have in the past.
We have to look at, when's the next scheduled board meeting? I'm sorry, the 26th of April? I think we need to look at our schedule and see if we could commit till being out of our workplaces till after the lunch hour. Is that fair to say, to 1:30?
I think Susan was saying we have another...
We have the
event.
Oh, what's the other event?
ribbon cutting and the
The Billaracus building, ribbon cutting is, we've already got a social event.
and lunch.
In May is when the State Board of Education is going to be here at the same time.
Right.
Is that going to have any impact on our...
Well, I
board
suggest
meeting?
that we just move our, in fact, this might work out really nicely. I suggest that we just welcome them. They'll give us a few minutes at the beginning of their meeting. It's here, I think they're using the collaborative labs, that we just socialize with them, and then we could start our meeting a little bit later and work through the lunch hour if you wanted to do that in May.
So is that the meeting where the workshop would be?
That's the way it sounds to me like it's shaping up, yes.
Okay. Okay, then.
Is that a
May,
plan?
I guess we need to look at our calendars to make sure that's a more, go into the potential afternoon.
Okay.
Is that what you're telling us, Dr. Law?
Yes, I think that would work, and again, that would then allow us to do a welcome for the State Board of Education, which will be here. We don't have to sit through their whole board meeting, we just need to be good hosts at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, Deborah.
Or maybe we could have a board retreat. Get it over with.
So this is all for May?
Let's, I think we can do it in May. I think we can get this organized for you, okay? But plan on hour and a half for this part, okay? And we'll make other adjustments in the May agenda so that there's ample time.
Okay.
Well, we're
Is the
scheduled.
state board all-day type of meeting?
Yeah, they meet for a good part of the day. They're probably through lunch. I don't know.
That'd be nice, though, if we could have a joint lunch with them and sit with the Board of Education members and
I'll see if
intermingle.
we can work that
That'd be
out.
nice for us, too.
So both April and May are
Just
gonna
committed
be-
our workship to working through lunch. Okay.
Well, anyway, you do whatever, but I'm just saying there may be some value in taking that time to have some dialogue.
Let me find out how they organize their meeting. I've only
Okay.
been there a couple, and they may have changed since I last attended, okay? I simply don't know.
I mean,
But I think we do need to spend enough time on this budget process, whether we do a workshop or an elongated board meeting.
Sounds good.
I think necessity is there.
I think Dr. Law's got the message here today.
I'm all set. Thank you thanks for engaging it. I want you to, it's your vote.
A further legislative update?
I sent everybody the Board of Governors bill. As recently as this morning, I understand that thing is subject to significant change, not to be, it's an individual member, it's not a committee bill yet, so we're working on it. I spent about an hour with Chancellor Brogan last Friday.
Which committee member?
Senator Lynn. I think she decided to move that bill after she met with us. Okay. She's engaged. That is a long way from finished.
Yeah.
I think your meeting was very well received in Tallahassee. People are still, as I went around last week, still talking about that. So thank you for that time. I went back and met with all the staff people. There's still a lot of work to be done on this bill.
How'd your meeting go with Brogan?
It went well. Obviously, Frank's a colleague and a very good friend. There's a serious discussion about who gets final say on this, and I need to say I'm there to keep things just the way they are.
Oh, no.
I think we need to continue to. Here's the things. Here's where we are putting our leadership. There is great concern about the quality because of the way some of these programs have been approved. And I am using our best offices to demonstrate the qualitative impact of these programs. Kay and I were gathering some documents yesterday. Tom has been helpful. We're giving those to staff to say it doesn't have to be junk. In fact, just the opposite. We can show you some qualitative things. That's very powerful for us to be doing that, and then the financing of it. Let me say this, at the State Board of Education meeting, my plan is to invite, I don't know if you saw, but the Pinellas Teacher of the Year is one of our graduates.
Oh.
Yes.
And I think rather than having us stand in front of the board, I think Spencer and that teacher ought to stand up and say, here's our story. Thank you, Board of Education. That would seem to me to be short and sweet and as powerful as it's going to get.
You're right about that.
But Dr. Law, if I'm reading it right, it isn't particularly this institution, it's members of the other 27 that have caused this problem.
And I don't know if you saw last night, though, the wars continue. USF Sarasota Manatee, through Judy Genshaft and Chancellor Brogan, has announced their intent to have a lower division. So they have decided south of us for the old mutually assured destruction.
What do you want to do?
Sarasota, University of South Florida, Sarasota Manatee has feel aggrieved by the way it's now called State College of Florida, the old Manatee Community College, has decided to branch off into some baccalaureate programs. As certainly we've ever done. Some feelings got hurt in that dialogue. Let me just describe the outcome. And they appear to be firing back by saying, you want baccalaureate programs? Great, we want lower division programs. So that, welcome to education politics.
You know, the legislature calls some of this, a lot of this. And I mean, I think some of our message probably needs to be, Dr. Law, that, you know, these are the consequences that we're suffering because of the things that you put in the legislation, but also they need to take a hard look at who's doing it right and make them mirror. I've always said that when they move to this thing, you know, we were going to be in this situation where everybody's going to be in a free-for-all, and then we're going to tick some people off. They're going to try to get football teams and dorms and all these other things that, you know, weren't intended. And when there was no, and you know, the funny thing is the legislature writes a rule for everything. They just said, hey, have at it. So I think we need to probably talk to leadership and talk to them about, you know, in the past, St. Petersburg College has been a good steward. We're continuing to be that. We don't want, you know, if you're going to do this, please don't lump us into this.
But Deborah, once you start that scenario, you're almost dividing the 28 into two different camps.
Well, I hear you, Dick, but right now I think we need to be survival of the fittest.
Yeah. Well, but I'm with you, but I think maybe that is an option. I hate to say it, but I don't know how it's all going to come down.
Well, by the end of the legislature, I think it's going to be the only option.
Well, they're going to hit the ball to the higher ed coordinating council. I don't think their legislature's going to decide it this year, but they're going to hit it right to them.
It's an unfair jury.
Yeah. And we're working that side. That group will be visiting us, we anticipate, probably in May or June as well. I'm meeting again last Friday.
Good.
We're working it as hard as we can. It's a very easy part. You know, because I didn't have anything to do with it, I can speak with great enthusiasm about what we're doing. It doesn't reflect, you know, there's no personal ownership except for my pride now to be the president. Yeah. And the facts speak for themselves here. And we just need to get those facts into as many hands as we can. And that's been my purpose. And it's, you know, it's not as easy as it sounds. There are a lot of people with a lot of really serious questions. I mean, our friends are saying, does it work?
And Dr. Law, I think also on this, if any of us can help in any of these types of meetings or visits to Tallahassee, please use us as much as we possibly can assist. Mr. Gibbons.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to add, I think Dr. Law is right, but also we better be careful because we have the next two speakers are very close to, and we better utilize that leverage while we can because we don't know who's coming after that. That's number one. Number two, remember the new Senate president, who's a great guy, Don Gates, that's coming behind Herodopoulos, is from North Florida and really believes in a different model than what. So I'm saying all that to say it's all going to converge, but we really need to get our message out to the leadership now and make sure that we're protect. I mean, I understand the other 27 are in this with us, but remember, we set the standard, and we did it first. And if we want to continue to do this, and if they want to continue to do it, they need to step it up a little bit. They need to do it like we're doing it. They need to make sure, because regionally, we do well with USF, and in these other regions, you know, I see these little fights going on and all these other things. And eventually, you know, the legislature or whoever, the governor, is going to get tired of saying we're fighting over the same. What about the students? What happens to the students? Who's servicing the student? You guys are fighting over territory. So I just want to be careful and be mindful of that we need to really utilize our resources while we have them, because we very well know that, you know, tomorrow there could be a new speaker, a new president who really doesn't care, and they'll move. I mean, we got to where we are because we had the fortunate support of the legislature and certain people in it. So I just want us to be mindful of that.
You make excellent points, Mr. Gibbons, and I want to say especially, you know, the whole reason that we have four-year programs is because of Governor Bush.
Yep.
That's right.
And we really need to make him as part of this focal point too, because this is his program. This is part of his legacy as governor. And we go back to the story which Dr. Cutler liked to tell, and it was true. It was Governor Bush asked the universities for teachers, and the universities would not do it. They just ignored him completely. They said they would do studies on it and all that type of thing, but they wouldn't do the simple request he asked them to do. And so we looked, what's the alternative source? And we were it, community college system. And I think we need to, he has that foundation, which I get emails with all the time. We need to get them on board with us because, you know, this is his baby.
That's right.
And we need to get him involved in fighting this because he still is the most, I don't care who's governor, he's the most powerful political figure in the state of Florida still to this day, as far as I'm concerned. And if Jeb Bush got behind this, I think he could potentially, and it was his lieutenant governor who's causing us this problem, we could potentially have a great ally and to rally around him and support him and what he basically helped make this happen. So I'm not sure how we make that happen, but Governor Bush is the one, and it was due to his frustration why it was not put under the university system. You know, so I think we have to keep selling that point that, you know, they can't get the job done on these things that need to move quickly. They're not equipped like that. They're not set up for that. So if we need emerging professions, and you know, sure, mistakes have been made by, you know, and that's going to be made anytime you experiment. But, you know, maybe we can collectively as a group, you know, all 28 get our act together and correct those mistakes and say, hey, we made them, but we'll move forward. Mr. Johnston.
Well, we need a plan to do that, and maybe bringing the trustees together as you originally spoke this morning or earlier, because I think what's happening is that certain institutions have given this idea a black eye because they've tried to move alone and not out with everybody, all their neighbors. And you've declared that there's a war out there going on, and we've done it, I think, the right way, and maybe somebody else hasn't. It's caused this scenario to be happening, and I'm not sure that how we go defend it so that we don't get clobbered in this process. And I think it takes a little bit of thought and planning,
and we're not sure how good those neighbors were on the other side, too. I mean, this is, you know, a lot of the universities we've not always had wonderful relationships with USF.
No,
you know, so it's I don't want to throw the blame all on the community colleges there.
No,
too,
no, but we've worked on that and we straightened that out.
Well, there was a change of leadership to it.
Well, right.
So anyway, I mean, we can belabor this whole day, but I think we get the point, Mr. Gibbons.
Not this. I just want to be mindful that Governor Bush did do that, but he also made sure he visited this institution several times before he made that decision, and he made sure that we were going to do this right. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to separate us from the rest of these community colleges. What I am saying is, we have something valuable that works for our citizens. We can't afford to lose that, so we got to be very mindful of the strategy that we use going forward so that we don't lose that. We have people in the midst of these programs now, and what happens when they go away, you know?
I just want to, on the ground for our students, it won't make any difference at all. You know, that part works fine. It's who decides what the next programs will be and so
So when we see in this community, we're going to have to go to some board in Tallahassee, and it's going to be 6 months later. They're going to want some type of report.
6 months.
But I don't want to be in the ranks here today that something is going to happen in the classroom that will be
we started an OMP program because all the stars aligned with Congressman Young. We don't want to miss that opportunity because some bureaucracy up in Tallahassee has to.
We can react to what we need to. If we need more nurses, if we need more teachers, we can react as a board right now. So.
Okay, I think we have a passion on this issue, obviously. One item I want to bring up here is, it was brought up earlier in the meeting about the importance of the Policy Institute, and I appreciate the board member for bringing this up, and about the advisory board that will be appointed to be coordinated with the Policy Institute. In statute, we have with the direct support organizations, the Lipa Ratner, the alumni, the foundation, to have it mandates that we have a board member representative on those. I think on the Policy Institute that we should have a Board of Trustee member I think it would just serve this board well. I think it would serve the Policy Institute well. And if Mr. Brett was willing to do that, I know this is putting the cart before the horse because we haven't even established the criteria, but I certainly would ask that when that board's formed, if Mr. Brett, if you were willing to serve on that, I certainly would appreciate it on behalf of the board.
Thank you.
So that's something, I just think it's important we have that coordination, and with the same intent as the foundation, the alumni, and the Leaper Ratner, that there's that we don't have some independent board going astray, and that we have not control, but we certainly don't, that's a terrible word, but some coordination there and making sure that the mission's all within the broader scope of the college. So if that could be done through, I'm not sure if we need to put that on a future agenda to formalize it, but I would like to put that into formal.
Let me take that as an opening. First of all, we'll do that, but I want to clarify what their legal status is. I don't have in my mind that they're a 501c3, but model our guidance on that within our own rule structure. So
if we need a rule change or something to make that happen, I would appreciate that going forward, but unless there's objection, that's the will of the board I'm expressing.
That's well received.
Okay.
I have only, I have a handful of issues, but in the, I can communicate. I have only one item that I do need to say.
Thank you, Mr. Brett.
The calendar, where are my calendars? For next year needs to be determined so that we can publish the academic calendar and everything else. And I very much would like to have us, Deborah, just hand this out if you would.
Didn't we approve the
here's the
academic
issue.
calendar last
I want to close for spring break, okay? The calendar, it's a works, who doesn't work. It's I think detrimental to the good feeling of employees to have half the staff not working and half the staff working. I'm not sure how effective we are. Certainly students want to move on. It would mean that there's really 3 days that we would be closed that we were otherwise open, but I think it's hugely beneficial. Happy to bring it back if you want. We're at the point of confirming the calendar for next year. I will tell you, I am unaware of institutions that don't close for the spring break. I mean, I don't know what the history is here to keep some parts open, but there are no classes.
Well, Dr. Law, if you're making that as a recommendation, this Board of Trustees has always made it our practice to accept the recommendations of the president on these types of matters because you've thought these things through and...
That is my recommendation.
Okay. Mr. Gibbons would like to make that into a form of motion. And, just so I understand, are we allowed to vote on things that aren't on the agenda?
This is guidance to the president, because the academic calendar is procedural. It's not a rule, so you are just giving me guidance.
I didn't know if when we do these types of things, if they have to be put on next agenda or not. That's why I asked.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the president for the new academic calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbons. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Brett. Seeing any further discussion?
Is there anything that's sacred? It seems like our spring break is not synchronized with other colleges. Is that done for a reason, or?
It is. Dr. Williams, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. Williams.
No, it's synchronized with other colleges. It may not be synchronized with Pinellas County schools.
That's true.
Should it be, or?
No, it's an impossibility. Their spring break is still a week or two away, and it would push us right to the end of our semester. We'd be giving spring break 2 or 3 weeks before the end of the
High school
semester.
spring break is centered around Easter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
just
asked
the question.
Our best bet is to align it with USF as best we can, but our heads say it should align with the school district. Our hearts want to be there. It doesn't work, though.
All in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. You have been very generous with your time and attention today, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you very much.
Okay, just so I know, in the State Board of Education meeting, do we know, is that starting at the usual 8:30 time, or is that starting
I will confirm
later?
that as soon as I know. I believe it starts at 8:30. We'll move our meeting to start later, okay?
Okay, since I know public notice needs to go out, can we have a motion that our May meeting will be here at the epicenter, but a time.
No, it'll be.
We have notice, we're still,
No, it's not
The
targeted.
April meeting is late, so we may have to advertise right before the April meeting.
What?
Especially 3 weeks out, and the April meeting being late, we'll be able to advertise May after April meeting, so we need to do it.
When is the
I'm at your
April?
disposal. I can't believe that we have to advertise the
It doesn't-
public notice for the May meeting.
Why don't we just make the motion, though?
Okay, that's fine.
To be set at a time, we'll leave it up to
We'll confirm.
the time
Yes.
for you to determine. So if
Thank
we
you.
need to start at 9:30, if they're starting at 9 o'clock, we just get it done procedurally
So
here.
moved.
Okay?
Second.
Second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That's, the May meeting may not start at our regular 8:30 time.
That's right.
That just gives us procedural.
You'll welcome that.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Of course.
procedurally, our meeting may not start till 9:30 or 9 o'clock, whatever. Okay, anything else to be brought before the board? Seeing nothing, meeting's adjourned.
Nice job, Ken.